Good evening. My name is Arthur Marcus. I'm chair of the Historic Preservation Board, and I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:06. Clerk, please take the roll. I'm not sure where everybody is.
Mr. Golden?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Keith?
Here.
Ms. Roberts?
Here.
Mr. Chavon?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
And Chair Marcus.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We are now going to take the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. If everyone would stand and look in the back corner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, has everyone on the board had a chance to review the minutes? And if so, are there any questions, comments, or motions?
No.
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Second, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded. Okay, by Robert. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. All persons wishing to speak to the board today must be sworn in. So we're going to have the Assistant City Attorney swear you in if everyone would stand if you're planning to speak. Sean?
I'll be doing it.
Sorry.
Please raise your right hand and affirm by saying yes if you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. And each member of the public that wishes to speak will have a length of time not to exceed 3 minutes per item, and representatives of associations or organizations can have 5 minutes. We will begin. I lost my, hold on a second here. We will begin with the first item. I just lost the number of the item here. Do you have it there?
It's UDP HP 26001.
As Tricia said, yes. Would you read the staff report? Or, well,
Yes.
actually, first of all, do we have any disclosures? Anyone? Okay, no disclosures. Okay.
Lena is your case planner, so she'll start.
Okay, great.
Jerry, do you have the presentation for this item? No. It says September. Or not September, in February.
February 2nd.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. And this is the first case, number UDP HP 26001. This is a certificate of appropriateness for demolition and new construction, and the applicant is requesting demolition of 2 multifamily residences identified as non-contributing properties within the Sailboat Bend Historic District, and the construction of 2 3-story, 3-unit townhouse buildings. The site plan of this development project includes 2 properties along the West Las Olas Boulevard that contain multifamily buildings. Next slide, please. Thank you. And this, the existing structures were built in so the structure located at 923 West Las Olas Boulevard was built in 1972, and the second structure was built in 1955, and according to the most recent Sailboat Bend Historic District survey, architectural survey. Both buildings were classified as non-contributing due to the limited architectural features. You can see these two buildings on the screen right now. This property is located within archaeologically significant zone, but according to the Phase 1 archaeological survey conducted on July 14th, 2025, no evidence were found of prehistoric or historic cultural resources on the site, and based on these findings, the future development is not expected to adversely affect significant archaeological resources, so no additional archaeological requirements are recommended at this time. I just want to say that this project also already passed through a very long review process as the site plan level 2 case number UDP S25012, and the applicant already made some changes and updates to the original plans to meet ULDR requirements, specifically for DRC, development review criteria, and neighborhood compatibility requirements. And today we will review it from the historic preservation point, because the project meets all the dimensional requirements, etc. Next slide, please. And for evaluation of this new construction, we will take into consideration the design, density, and placement of the proposed structure in relation to the existing historic context. And we also will pay attention to the integrity of the proposed structure, because in the historic district, it's very important that new construction is integrated into existing context and correlated to the to the buildings in the neighborhood. So in terms of integrity, we will pay attention to the size of the proposed structure, the roof lines, the sizes and shapes of the windows, and other elements which, in terms of integrity, should be compatible with the other patterns in the district. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is, so on this slide, you can see the renderings of the proposed structure. The applicant proposes the demolition of 2 existing multifamily residences, identified as a non-contributing end construction of the new townhouses. The proposed development will increase density from the existing 2 units to 3-unit townhouses, along with increased massing, with 3 stories replacing the existing 1-story structures. The proposal also will reduce the front setbacks to 15 feet on the front, and also the height of the proposed building will be increased. So from, as I already said, from 1-story building, it will be a 3-story building with a rooftop. The proposed height is 42 feet to the top of roof structures, such as equipment, mechanical equipment, stairwell, and the main roof line is 33 feet 10 inches. That includes 7.48 foot elevation in compliance with FEMA floodplain standards. Each building will have 3 levels and integrated 2-car garages at the ground level of each unit. And the garage openings will face inward on the side and not facing the towards the street. Next slide, please. So this is the site plan of the proposed development. So they will keep these 2 structures. They will increase the density, but we still will have 2 buildings. The buildings have this driveway in the middle, 2 guest parkings in the back, garages on the floor, first floor, 2 pools, and And they also will have balconies as a decorative elements, architectural feature, and the design also includes private rooftop outdoor areas and balconies, as I already said. So in terms of architectural features, the applicant describes the proposed design as Key West vernacular. And I'm pretty sure you know this style. I just want to remind you some features. Could you please to the next slide? Yeah. For Key West vernacular, typical features are deep wraparound porches, then shutters, louvered shutters, high ceilings, and every element in the traditional design is reasonable. There is a reason why they have the porches to help the airflow, the shutters to protect from heat and storm. Even the color of the ceilings on the porch is meaningful because this is how, like these blue ceilings, they were meant to protect buildings from the evil spirits. And if you know that in South Georgia, they have even savanna blue color, which is specifically was created to protect the buildings from the spirits. We don't have spirits today, but we will pay attention to the elements of architectural design. So in Sailboat Bend, this design is not typical for this Sailboat Bend Historic District. We have frame vernacular buildings in the Sailboat Bend, not the Key West vernacular, but there are still a lot of elements that are similar in both architectural styles. Next slide, please. And this proposed design is more correlated to the modern examples of architectural styles in the vicinity, in the district, and these are two buildings. One is right next to the house to the east from the proposed development, and one is around the corner. Next slide, please. So, next slide. So as I already said that this project meets most of the requirements, we just want to highlight some elements that we believe could be improved. Like, for example, on this drawing, you may see that on the first floor, the porch of this building is not articulated as it's supposed to be in Key West vernacular design, and we would propose to extend it slightly so that it will be more visible, welcoming. Then another element which we found incompatible to the district is the square windows. So the bathroom windows on the front elevation, we don't believe that that's appropriate. And also on the third floor, third level is also lack of the architectural features, and it will be nice to see another layer of railings, as you can find in the examples of Key West vernacular design. And there is also one element, the roof color, and I know that Historic Preservation Board is not reviewing the color, but still, I mean, color is important, it matters. So in this case, I believe that more neutral color will help to mitigate the overall messing and visual effects of this building. The applicant, I mean, in the proposed design, they made effort to integrate this building into the neighborhood, and the following elements help to create this compatibility, and these are the proposed design is more closely aligned with the frame vernacular architectural design, and for example, we can see that siding treatment is similar to the architectural elements found on the historic residence at 911 West Las Olas Boulevard. And at the same time, smooth stucco walls are also typical for the historic buildings in the district. And for example, to the building to the which is right to the west from this new proposed structure at 931 West Las Olas Boulevard. The second-story roofline of the new construction visually relates to the neighboring two-story contributing structure to the west, and the rooftop height aligns with the roofline of the townhouse to the right. So there is some attempt to integrate this building into the existing context. And also the location of the garages on the interior portion of the site and placing most of the mechanical equipment on the top will minimize the visual impact from the public right of way. And just final note is that they did a lot of they did some efforts to minimize the visual impact to the community, to the neighborhood, but still the size and the height of the proposed building, the overall massing of this proposed structure is visibly higher and more significant than the surrounding one-story single-family residences in the vicinity. And in the end, and so to summarize, if the board will make a motion for approval with conditions or a motion for denial, it's time for board to make a decision. If, however, the board adopts to approve this application with conditions, the following conditions for the certificate of appropriateness for new constructions are provided for consideration by HPB. Condition number 1, all glass shall be clear with an option of low E coating. Emantins shall have a raised profile. And second, the application is subject to the approval by building, zoning, and all ULDR requirements. And also, could you please move to the next slide and the next and next? So here you can see it's just sometimes it's easier to show to illustrate something. So if they will change the roof colors and add some railings and replace the square small windows, bathroom windows, with shutters, it will make this building a little bit more compatible and more in terms of architectural design, maybe better to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Lena, I have one question while we're looking at this slide. Is it meant to be two different roof colors, one on each building?
No. It's just for comparison. So on the left,
okay.
It's what it could be if they will agree to change something, to update some elements. And to the right is what we have right now.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
With that, is the applicant present? Please introduce yourself. Is it on?
Good afternoon. My name is Stuart Robin from Nest Plans. We are here today to present the proposed townhouse project, Las Olas Villas, which involves the placement of two non-historic, non-conforming buildings with two townhouse projects with two structures 3 units each, designed to be compatible in scale, massing, proportion, and articulation with the surrounding neighbors. As you see in front, the two existing multifamily houses are, as you see, with the 1-story or 1.5-story on the left and the 3-story townhouse existing on the right. The design draws on Florida vernacular principles, creating a cohesive contemporary composition that reflects the distinct district without replicating historic features. Can you go to, second slide. During both the pre-DRC and DRC submittal, the building elevations, particularly the front elevation, were carefully developed to balance architectural articulation with functional interior requirements. The facade is organized into 3 distinct volumes: a primary volume at the front entrance incorporating the 2 front porches, a secondary habitable volume containing the 2nd and 3rd floor living areas, a tertiary volume which functions as the foundation for the secondary volume, as well as support wall for the primary volume. Throughout the design process, we worked collaboratively with the city planner, Trish Logan, to refine the architectural composition. That coordination resulted in several targeted enhancements. To strengthen primary volume, we extended the first floor balcony out 3 feet and to the inside of the building to align with the secondary floor balcony, which basically is the primary volume. To strengthen the secondary volume, we extended the floor balcony toward the street and across the full facade. At the same time, we lowered the 3rd floor roof to introduce the roof deck railing, as you see on the top. And to strengthen the tertiary volume, we introduced additional banding, column articulation on the 1st floor to reinforce the facade rhythm and cohesion. While additional elements were discussed, they were not incorporated, as we felt they would introduce additional features consistent with the guidelines direction for restrained, compatible, and contemporary new construction. Shading and depth are instead achieved through balcony overhangs, roof balconies, recept wall planes of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floor balconies, and the proposed landscape canopy. The design also incorporates a variety of massing, architectural heights, balcony elements in alignment with the neighborhood design criteria revisions without relying on prescriptive or stylized and imitative features. Importantly, the project was received strongly with the community's support. We met with the Sailboat Bend HOA, and the group expressed enthusiasm, noting that the project represented an improvement to the neighborhood and did not raise any objections or concerns. Their endorsement underscores that this design is not only compatible with the district, but also positively received by local stakeholders. In summary, the project meets the intent of the historic preservation guidelines and the NDCR, providing a compatible, cohesive, contextually responsive addition to the district that enhances both the streetscape and pedestrian experience. These are slides. In the presentation, in the original submittal, we didn't include the street trees on the elevations because it detracted from this. We added it here to show that the 1st floor would be mostly blocked by the landscaping, both by the street trees as well as the large landscape bushes in the front. You see it from the front, the sides, the other side, and then the 3D rendering. If you have any questions.
I'm sure we will.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. You'll be right
Okay.
here. Thank
Perfect.
you. With that, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this subject? If not, we will close the public hearing and open it up to board questions, comments. Jonathan, how would you like to start?
I like the fact that you were working with Trish. How much time did you spend with Trish on the?
We had mostly emails and
Yeah, my fault.
Sorry, we had both emails and communications back and forth with Trish. We sent her, she would send us comments. We would make revisions based on the comments. Most of the time, we agreed with all of them. The only comments that we weren't as enthused at were the railing on the third floor and the shutters on the first and second, only because we felt that just continued to add more details that didn't seem to be necessary. The third floor balcony running across the front of the building just, added a lot of, it just seemed to be too much detail.
And there's a rooftop. Is a rooftop?
It's a habitable rooftop in the sense that you can go up there and barbecue and
Right.
enjoy it. So we wanted the people who own those townhouses to have a place to go.
With the approved railing matching all the other railings?
Yes. If you can see it in the, sorry, where did this go? And my eyesight isn't so great. If you look above the blue, you see the railing.
Because I saw a bottom floor railing that didn't seem like it aligned with the top floor. Or maybe it was my visual.
I just wanted to jump in and just confirm, do all three floors have the same design of railings?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I need to confirm. Thank you.
Yeah, they're all the same. The difference was the third floor, the roof deck railing was slightly shorter because we wanted to have the roof across the facade on the third floor. So
Okay.
we originally, in our original presentation, we didn't have the railing on the roof deck. We just have the roof. We lowered the roof and added the railing, which was one of the requests from Trish.
Okay, good. Sorry, Jonathan.
You're good. I'm good for now.
Okay. Ken?
So, I guess I'm so loud, I don't even know if I should use this.
We can hear you.
You can tell, maybe can you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can tell that, it definitely looks like there's been a lot of thought put into it to have the older vernacular look. I can also see the contemporary in it and its new construction, so I understand that. With the pictures that were proposed, obviously the old Key West vernacular looks more historic, more
Right.
coastal. I definitely see where they're coming from. Are you opposed to making those changes just because you feel it's too much?
I mean, again, I think we made the mistake by calling it Key West vernacular. It was actually more Florida vernacular, which was correct in the presentation. That was our mistake. But on the other hand, are we opposed to it? My client would be willing to accept it. However, it adds the biggest problem with the railing on the second floor. It only comes out 3 feet. So when you have a railing and you have a balcony, it's great. It's 3 feet. It's not really, the other portions of the balcony are deep. So they actually can use the balconies on the second floor and the third floor. That railing, when you're going across at 3 feet, just seems to be, it's an add that it's not really enhancing the use.
Correct.
And to me, that's where I start saying I want to push back a little bit. Whereas where on the second floor we added it, it really helps enhance the two-story massing that we were trying to do for the second and third floor.
The space. No, I understand. I think visually, because these were not historic buildings, so you followed all of the guidelines, but because Sailboat Bend is now historic and everything that we have, where do we kind of meet in
Understood.
the middle and what can we do? So that was just, I wanted to get your perspective on that. So
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think it's very well thought out and appreciate your efforts working with the staff. And staff, thanks for your report. I don't have an issue with it as presently presented. I guess on the first floor window, was staff's recommendation that the shutters just replace the window entirely, or?
No, just cover this window, like as an option.
And presumably, you
We
wanna
just
keep
don't
the-
want to see. I'm sorry. We just don't want to see these small windows, which are not typical for the fenestration pattern of the whole district, on the front elevation specifically. So that's.
And then I guess I'll ask the applicant, is that just a bathroom window? That's why it's elevated? Or the small window on the front elevation, what's the room inside? Is it like a bathroom?
Those are bathrooms.
Okay.
On the second and the first and third floor, they are bathrooms. I believe, understandably, if the shutter makes more sense, I could see that more than I could see the railing. So I'd be happy to put the shutters on the two windows.
You're talking about putting shutters on the bathroom windows?
That's what-
Over the bathroom windows to extend them. What I believe their attempt was that the length of the windows up there are 5 feet on the rest of the facade. And so what we would do is probably put in a 6-foot shutter over the window to make it look like it's the same length as the other two, thus presenting that.
Okay. Yeah, and then the board doesn't have anything to say about color, so I'll not comment on the roof color. But yeah, I think it looks good.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump in now, just as we're going down the line over Charlie. I have a few comments which I thought of as I was reading this. Is that
Arthur.
I do agree with staff that somewhere in the staff report it says there's too much overthinking from too many different styles and trying to combine everything to make it look like Sailboat Bend. We all know this doesn't look like Sailboat Bend. It does evoke the Key West or Florida style, which I think is what you meant to do. But I do think that there are too many, you're listening to too many different voices. As an architect, I can say that to you in terms of what it should be and what it should look like and how it should function.
Yes.
I don't think personally that a more modern version of Key West with elongated windows is out of place in this neighborhood, because I feel that you don't want to copy the historic architecture. You don't want it to look like something historic, because then it'll be confused in the future. If you're designing a contemporary building with the Key West flair, it should be contemporary. Maybe those little square windows become round windows. Maybe you put the shutters on. I mean, there's obviously a lot of solutions to it. But I don't think you have it both ways. I think you have to really, if Florida style is the way you're going, I think you're going in a good way. And I think that would be it would be helpful in the neighborhood. I think it would be a good style. In terms of specific things, personally, I think color is okay, and I like the blue roof, but that's between you and staff. I will leave it at that. As long as you're doing consistent railings everywhere, because I couldn't quite tell from some of the renderings. I thought the second floor was different. And it mentions that there's a 6-foot high fence going around the property, or it mentioned it somewhere in the staff report.
Correct. It's right. It starts at basically in line with the front of the building, and it wraps because basically for privacy
Of
and
course.
for.
My question for staff is the 6-foot. Okay.
Yes, it's appropriate if it's behind the front facade.
So, but can it start at the front property line and go back?
No. From the
Front
front
of the house.
facade and
Oh,
to
from
the
the
back,
front of
to
the
the
house,
rear.
Front of the
yeah,
building back.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I saw the other note was there was a question with 16-foot garage doors, and I understand why, for ease of pulling in and out, but since it's not on a primary elevation, I think that was said in the staff report. I
Correct.
would have no problem with that.
I believe those
one
are
comment
16-foot garage doors.
is
but-
that, and I agree with one comment in the staff report, that the second floor does look like it's a little unsteady and it's going to tip over. It sort of, excuse the illusion, but it reminds me of medieval London, where they did build out the second floors so you wouldn't get hit by the garbage coming from the upper floors. I'm just wondering if that could be made a little bit more graceful in terms of architecture. Maybe there's a pretend arch that goes around connecting them, or you do something with the overhang. But I think it would just, it's the first thing one sees when you look at this building.
Understood.
And I think there's more to see than just this.
Okay. We
Okay.
appreciate it. We'll
Sure.
look into it and discuss it with the client.
Tim?
I think everybody spoke highly of the cooperation between staff and the applicant, and I'm in agreement with everything I heard and don't have much to add to it, except that it sounds like a good idea.
Thank you.
I look at the renderings and you really have behooved the neighborhood.
Thank you.
I look what was there before. It was not attractive, nothing that you'd want to look at. And I think you did a remarkable job in this. A couple of minor things in regard to the windows, you could solve that with shutters. And I think shutters would be a nice addition. You would add a little bit of warmth, a little bit of a nice element to it. And in regard to color of the roof, we're not supposed to comment on color, but I feel different that it stands out too much. I like it blending in. But
Understood.
again, it's your choice.
Easy choice. Appreciate that.
Thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question. You mentioned work with Sailboat Bend,
Yes.
discussions back and forth. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We did the presentation early on. I think we did it between DRC and pre-DRC and DRC submittal, or right after we submitted DRC. I can't even remember the exact date. We did a presentation. It was a packed house. It was amazing. They had over 50 people, and we had mostly simple questions, but they were excited. There was limited there was no real major negatives. There was couple questions that were just how we're doing this, how we're dealing with that, but overall they were happy and they liked it in comparison to what was there as existing, as well as the 1 3-story building that was next door, that they felt this was far superior in how we presented it versus the one next door.
Good. I appreciate that. I like to hear that. Otherwise, I like it.
Thank you.
Great. If there are no more comments, does anyone care to propose a motion?
I'll make a motion,
Thank you.
and I'll be happy to take any amendments, Arthur. I move to approve the resolution for a certificate of appropriateness for demolition under case number UDPHP 26001, located at 923, 925 West Los Olas Boulevard, based on the findings and facts as outlined in the staff report, and subject to two conditions, the elements that are noted in the staff report. All windows shall be aluminum, all glass shall be clear with the option of a low E. Application is subject to the approval by building, zoning, and all ULDR requirements, including landscaping.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I second it.
Thank you, Robert. With that, all in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Good luck
Thank
with
you.
everything.
Thank you, board. We appreciate it.
And next on the agenda is application UDP HPD 25002, the archaeological site designation of the property located at 640 Seabreeze Boulevard.
Jerry, if you could pull up the presentation labeled archaeological.
While we're waiting, I'll just ask if anyone has any disclosures. Did you spend the day on the beach today?
Nothing.
Okay, thank you.
And if you're not using your microphone, if you could turn it off just to avoid some feedback. Thank you. Tricia Logan, I'm a principal urban planner. and this item is for the consideration of historic designation of an archaeological site located at 640 Seabreeze Boulevard. Jerry, if you could advance the slides. The request does include, well, it has been moved a few times from the agenda and deferred to this date. It was initially, it appeared on the September 8th HPB agenda, and the Historic Preservation Board asked that the applicant provide additional testing and information regarding the location of the archaeological site, as well as consideration of a modification to the proposed boundaries. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. These are the boundaries that are proposed within the historic designation report. It encompasses 2 parcels on the beach, and it is currently used as a public beach and park. The designation of this area would not preclude from any development happening on that site. It would require some additional archaeological testing or monitoring if any ground disturbance were to occur, but it would not dissuade it from being developed in the future. There are other requirements that would also take precedence because it is a beachfront and seaward of the coastal construction line. The designation could also offer some educational awareness. Next slide, please. The application does propose a period of significance that includes prehistoric eras in the Glade period, and also includes a more historic period which extends from the Second Seminole War, 1839 through 1947. And in 1947, that's when the city of Fort Lauderdale took ownership of this property. Next slide, please. And to provide some visualization of some changes that occurred between that date of 1947 through just 8 years later in 1955, there was quite a bit of development that occurred within that area at that time. Next slide, please. Related to the deferment of this item, the applicant did obtain a site inspection agreement between the city and the archaeologists that performed some additional testing on the beach. There were several strategic testing locations that were proposed as part of that testing program that occurred, and that took place late December through early January. Next slide, please. And just to give you a little bit of a visual, the purple area shows the location of testing that occurred in 2011, and that area was utilized as a justification for the boundaries of the proposed archaeological designation today. That location of the proposed area for designation is kind of the orange area. And then the black dotted line shows the location of where the additional testing occurred. Next slide, please. As a result of the testing, we did receive a testing report from the archaeologists as well as a summary of the findings. And within the report, it does talk about locations that I wanted to just have the board visualize, which includes the location of a DAR marker, which is adjacent to a pedestrian bridge on the beach side, and the location of restrooms that are on the beach. There were positive tests that were found kind of between those 2 locations and nearby the restroom location. Some of the items that were found related to the third fort include square cut nails and a piece of cut wood that dated back several hundred years. Next slide, please. And just to give you a visual, this is the DAR marker and the location of it. And next slide. And then just to superimpose where the proposed boundaries of the designation are located, again, that orange overlay on top of where the restroom location is in the DAR marker. And next slide. A summary report was also provided by the archaeologists to encapsulate the findings within the testing report compared to what the designation report was asking for. And it does lay out nicely kind of areas where testing had occurred in the past and different findings, as well as where the primary fort activity occurred. And just to make it a little more visual, I put a yellow box around where the primary fort activity occurred. In the report, in the summary report, it's shown as a black dotted line. Yes.
Could you repeat real quickly the red dotted line and the black dotted line? The dashed lines.
Yeah, the dash lines are locations of the extent of a Florida master site file form. And then the, I think it was the archaeological site for the black dotted line. And then there was a smaller black dotted line, which is now yellow, to indicate the primary fort activity location. And that's the box that's in the center.
So one of these boxes, what staff is recommending?
Yes, so just, we can go to the next slide. Yeah, no, it's okay. Next slide, please. So this kind of layers all of the information that was captured in all of the documents. So the 2011 testing report showing the purple area, the orange area is the proposed designation boundaries, the testing area with the black dotted line, and then the blue color is the primary fort activity. So taking into consideration the purpose of the designation report itself and the purpose of the designation with the primary focus on third fort, as well as the additional testing information and the information that was included in that testing report, staff came to the conclusion and wrote in the staff report that it would be more beneficial to focus the designation on the primary fort activity with a potential buffer around that area. You also received an additional letter from our archaeological consultant today who stated more or less the same thing, but did give an amount of space that a buffer could include, which would be 30 meters to the north and to the south, and then outward towards the ocean as well. So that was the conclusion that was of both of ours. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, 30 meters. How many feet?
It's
would
about
that be?
100 feet.
Thank you.
So I have two questions. Where is the coastal construction line in all this?
In this particular area, it falls right around A1A.
Oh, okay. I didn't think it was that far inland.
Yeah, it where A1A starts to curve westward.
Right.
You know, that becomes a different line.
And so that means that nothing supposedly can be built east of the coastal construction line.
There's limited construction that can occur, and there's a lot of requirements that go along with it.
Okay.
Next slide, please. The applicant applied under 3 different criteria within our code. We have 7 criteria for historic designation listed in the code. You have to qualify for one of them in order to qualify for designation. The applicant chose A, B, and C as the criteria for designation. Criterion A, staff agrees with, which is related to the significance of the site, and it's a broad statement, but more or less focuses on the significance of the place of the third Fort Lauderdale. And next slide, please. And criterion B, staff also agrees with, which is the location of an event, and that would be related to the Ford activity specifically. And next slide. And criterion C, staff does not agree with. It's asking for significance of a person. In this case, the person or people that are identified, there would need to be more research that would support that, but you typically would not designate an archaeological site based on a person that may have visited that location. Next slide, please. And in the summary conclusion, it does talk about this site does have merit. It does have a history associated with it, but staff does believe that a more concise boundary than what is proposed by the applicant may be appropriate and could be considered.
Tricia, thank you. I have one quick question. What is the median width of the beach at this point? I know it varies. You don't, okay.
I don't know at the top of my head, but I can let you know.
I was just curious, okay.
And
Is that, go ahead.
that is it. We do have a number of people that have signed up to speak, so you
Yes.
should have cards in front of you.
I do not.
Okay, you will get them
I will
shortly.
have them shortly. And if anyone is here who still wishes to speak, you can sign up over at the table.
Hey, Chair, some people came in later. Maybe we should try to swear in everybody again, just to make sure. Has everybody been sworn? Who's going to speak?
Okay.
You'd have to stand, please. If you raise your right hand and affirm by saying yes, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And just to remind you, everyone who's a member of the public will have 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes to speak. So first we have Courtney Crush.
Oh, Chair, would you like to start with the applicant?
Oh, I'm sorry. Remember me? Yes. Would the applicant choose to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would. Thank you so much. And thank you, Historic Preservation Board, members, city staff, members of our community that are here to support this application. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I have a brief introduction that I'd like to share with all of you. And then from the introduction, we would like to segue into, we have 4 presenters that are going to be sharing some of their research with the board. So Broward Trust for Historic Preservation is pleased to present to the City of Fort Lauderdale and its HPB our summary of the historic, and it's really an introduction. So an archaeological evidence supporting the historic landmark and archaeological designation for the City of Fort Lauderdale. The fort was built by the United States government in 1839 as a multi-purpose compound. The purpose of this designation is to preserve, interpret, recognize the historical significance of the site for future generations. Because it is a multifaceted site that represents intact archaeological evidence from several periods, all of which will be discussed this evening by our experts. This site has yielded archaeological materials from all historically significant periods, whether the Tequesta tribe, the U.S. military outpost, Fort Lauderdale, the House of Refuge, and finally the United States Coast Guard, Base Number 6, all of which existed on this site. Our focus for this designation was to acknowledge and define what history and the data-based evidence that has been given to us. What follows this evening are the experts from whom we brought together to disseminate and present this information. All of this information has been recorded, it's researched, it's been compiled over the past 35 years. They are here to answer your questions as to why this site is important. I'm honored to introduce to you all this evening 4 of our special guests. I'm going to go through those guests and then move on. When I've completed this introduction, I'm going to be bringing up our first guest. The first one is Dr. Michael Guerin. He's a scientist and he's a Broward Trust HP board member. His research-based evidence presenting a historical map regression of the known location of Fort Lauderdale. Patsy West, ethnohistorian, who brings 53 years of research in archival history of Pine Island Ridge to the Fort Lauderdale, to the third fort. Jamie Pisacco, presenting on behalf of Susan Gillis, historian and also board member to Broward Trust for Historic Preservation. Finally, this evening we have Ralph Krugler. I haven't seen him. If you're here, Ralph, thank you. Historian to the Hillsborough Inlet. He has a background in all of the houses of refuge. He is going to speak specifically to the House of Refuge number 4, which is on the beach. We'll continue this discussion with Bob Carr from the Archaeological and Historical Conservancy regarding all the archaeological evidence. Bob directed the 4 archaeological investigations ranging in years from 1985, 2011, 2020, and then the 2025-26. He will explain how these materials that came up and the information that we garnered from it, how it supports this designation. We're here to discuss and answer questions regarding the state of Florida's Division of Historical Resources and the site form data that they provide. We're also here to discuss the informants that came forward. There's archaeological evidence and any other questions you may have regarding material, including what you saw on your agenda. Finally, before we wrap up our entire presentation tonight, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Ralph Brooks. Ralph, would you please stand for the audience? Ralph Brooks is here representing the Broward Trust for Historic Preservation from a legal perspective. So we are confident that the Fort Lauderdale Historic Preservation Board will approve our application for historic designation based on all the submitted data, research, and historical information. Respectfully, Michaela M. Conca, Broward Trust for Historic Preservation, President. Thank you. Michael Guerin, I'd like to bring you forward. You're welcome.
Good evening, or good afternoon. My name is Mike Guerin, representing the board. And I'm going to show you some more squares on maps that you're used to seeing. And I'm a 3rd-generation Fort Lauderdale native. My great-grandparents, Frank and Ava Oliver, are pioneers of the area. So I'm very passionate about this. I'm going to show you evidence of the 3rd Fort Lauderdale location, which you have been wanting to know, and the historic activity of the area in which is designated. We'll get back to this picture. Next slide. We all know about the monument from the Sisters of the American Revolution that was placed. I'm showing a modern map of the area where the fort is located, and the location, the red circle, that is the area that we're concerned with. I'm not going to read the actual designation on the bottom. Next slide. Next slide. So I think we're all aware of the Williams Survey plat, and as part of the public land survey system, which I'll come back to, that's the little squares in the plat. And I cannot read the information that I wrote. So why a 3rd and why the stated location on the barrier island? Natives historically traveled to the east from the Everglades, hunting and fishing in the rivers coming from the west. They fished even in the ocean. There was a hollover that existed just south.
You will need to speak in the microphone.
You put the podium up. Okay, that's what I asked you, that you wasn't sure. There was a hollover that existed just south of the designated area. There was significant native activity and presence in the area. So besides the fort, we had a lot of native activity. As a result of the Seminole Wars, native aggression increased, and a fort guarding this area was required to protect settlers and as well as shipwrecked survivors. A fort on the barrier island at this ideal location allowed for a 360-degree view, a direct view of the mouth of the river, which was actually further east than what we're used to now, a direct view of the hollover close by, and a direct view of traffic from the inlet to the south. The stated location holds significant historical relevance relative to the Fort Lauderdale and native presence. The following will present data, available evidence to support these conclusions. Next slide. The one on the left is putting two townships together, which the bottom one shows the inlet that was to the south. That's the navigational inlet where bigger ships would come in. That's a blow up of it. The actual inlet that we're concerned with, I can't really see, the little red square right there to the left, that's a blow up view of that. We see the mouth of the river. We also see a channel that's coming up just off of the beach. That was the original channel. And then to the top, there's a little X on this survey plat, which says Fort Lauderdale. There's also some squiggly lines indicating all the activity areas. So you can see from this plat that the land was wide and then narrowed down as you went further south. I calculated the actual length, the width of the east-west width to be about 340 feet at that widest location and about 40 to 50 feet at the narrow.
This today?
That's then.
Then?
Yes, sir.
Then is when?
1870.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Next slide. So this compares that map, a blow-up, against a modern-day map. So they are basically at the same scale. So you see the one on the left, again, this is the 1870 plat. This area to the far left was actually Lake Mabel. It didn't go anywhere. It was just a very shallow lake. The actual traffic came from the inlet and turned left, and the mouth of the river was there. I've superimposed this light greenish blue area, which against today's map shows where the inlet and river actually was. I'm pointing at, that was the channel for the inlet. Again, you can see the red square showing the designated area of interest. The little dark blue line represents the location of the hollover. Yes, sir. Really? Next slide. This is a famous picture by Dr. Ellis Hughes, which shows activity of the area, the landing of the fort. Across the river, you can see that piece of land up there and the mouth of the river curving, same as the bottom. Next slide, please. This is the Indian Hollover, which is right in front of the Bahia Mar, designating the location and existence of the hollover. Next slide. This shows a picture before the Port Everglades, how the narrowness of the inlet, that was the inlet, the historic inlet for Fort Lauderdale. And that's a picture, a map of the Port Everglades in the 1920s. Next slide. This shows, this was already shown, this shows the development after that of the inlet. They closed it, brought in all sorts of dirt, and filled the area post-1949. Next slide. That's my grandfather sitting on the jetties of that are shown right there that have disappeared from the beach now in 1922. Next slide. I'm not going to have time to this, but this represents a current grid of the survey system and the old map. Next slide. And this shows a sequential fading in the old and the new, and it shows the exact location of this interested area. I wanted to do it on my laptop and slowly fade it in, but I wasn't able to do it. I had to do it on this last slide, I believe. Last slide. Next slide. And in conclusion, this is the site of the historic indigenous activity and the third fort, Lauderdale, referred to as the beach fort. Thank you.
Thank you. It was fascinating to see the evolution of the beach.
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Michael. Patsy?
Chair.
West?
And just to remind everyone,
Okay.
it's 5 minutes for a specialist, so
Thank you.
we gave a little more time before.
Thank you for that, Arthur. Thank you. This is Patsy West, everybody.
Hello.
I'm going to hand off.
Please step up to the microphone.
Yes.
Please just introduce yourself on the microphone.
Okay.
And who you are.
My name is Patsy West. I was born here in Fort Lauderdale, but my family came in 1887 and, 1878 and homesteaded in North Miami. So I've been in this a long time because my grandmother lived to be 94. So she would give me bedtime stories. So I have been the authority on the Miccosukee people with them, with James Billy, chairman, for 53 years. And the map, I don't know how I'll talk and do that at the same time here. This map shows the two prominent Miccosukee sites during the Seminole War. The Second Seminole War was 1835, 1842. And this is where the people on Pine Island, which Bob and I preserved, and also Long Key. These were sites that in the 1970s, I think it was, right, that we started working on. And they're both taken by the state and they're historic sites and can be visited today. There are condos all around Pine Island, but it is still there, 2.5 miles long and 29 feet at the highest point. It's the highest and most unusual spot in the entire Everglades. And that's where 300 people lived, natives, that were out there while the fort is over here. So I'm sort of bringing the native perspective. It was not always hostile, of course. They visited the fort. Abiaka, or sometimes called Sam Jones in the history, during the Seminole Wars would visit the fort often. This is a doodle that the same Ellis Hughes, who thank goodness for Ellis Hughes, made a doodle after him. And this is an AI, so this is what Abiaka actually looked like, more or less. Less or more, whatever. At any rate, Big City Island here. In other words, we've got 3 islands, Long Key, Pine Island, and Big City Island. They exist today. They're out there west of 441 for everybody to visit. Big City Island is Dania Reservation. And the other 2 islands are, there's condos on the top part of Pine Island, which is, here we have, it's actually south of Alligator Alley or State Road 84, and runs down to Orange Avenue. So if you want to go to the park, these are parks today of Broward County. You would go to Orange Avenue and enter Pine Island, which is, like I say, 29 feet high. It's the highest point in the Everglades. And that was a major Miccosukee Seminole habitation site. So, well, one of the stories about how communications went between the people at Pine Island and out at the beach was at Pine Island, it's 29 feet high. I mean, that's nosebleed territory here in South Florida. It is the highest point. And so they said, just raise your flag and we will see it. Now, I asked my father, and he said, I'm not sure about that, but here's the deal. If they raise their flag, and out there at the 29-foot high point on Pine Island, and there's tons of pine trees still on Pine Island, the southern part of it is all natural. So with the 29 feet and a tall pine tree, I bet they could. You know, that there was just nothing between them. So, and the relationship is something I want to bring out. This was not, they were not opposed to the guys at the fort. They came into the fort. Abiaka, who was the reason that the Miccosukee are here today, he was their major leader, and he was actually a Timucua Indian. The Miccosukee had come in like 1818, and they didn't know anything about Florida. They didn't know how to fight a war in Florida. They didn't know the ways of foodways or any of that. It was Abiaka who taught them that, and he led the Seminole Wars. So there's quite a bit of involvement there. But in between the fighting bit, they were everybody's friends. They're very intelligent people. And this was just part of our history that is so very important, but no one knows. So if you have any questions, I'd love to hear them. I feel very, their relationship to the fort was very important.
Thank you.
Pardon?
If you could finish up in the next moment or so.
Okay. Are there any questions anybody would like to
Well,
ask?
if anyone does,
okay.
we will call
All
you
right.
afterwards,
All right.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh.
So, Jamie Pisacco is going to speak on behalf of Susie Gillis.
Hi.
Hello.
Please introduce yourself in your own voice.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Pisacos. I'm speaking today to read a statement into the record on behalf of Susan Gillis, who could not be in attendance. She asked that I convey her strong support for this designation. To the members of the Fort Lauderdale Historic Preservation Board, my name is Susan Gillis, and I'm a local historian and former curator of the Fort Lauderdale Historical Society. I am the author of the 2004 History of Fort Lauderdale entitled Fort Lauderdale, the Venice of America, and I served as a city centennial historian in 2011. In that capacity, I created a traveling exhibit for the city on the topic of the forts of Fort Lauderdale. The three forts are easily the most significant historic sites in this great city. The third fort, known as the Beach Fort, was the most permanent and longest occupied of the installations. It is also the fortification for which we have the most documentation, including contemporary physical descriptions, military dispatches, and the diary of Dr. Ellis Hughes, the post surgeon stationed at Fort Number 2 and Number 3. In addition to the area contained by the fort's pickets, everyday life for the soldiers took place in the area around the fort. We know this from a drawing made by Hughes during the construction of the fort and reports by officers such as Francis Weiss of the pleasures of enjoying a freshwater bath out of the backside and a saltwater bath at the front. Others extolled the great fishing opportunities. The fort is very significant in the history of the Seminole Miccosukee people as well. The fort was frequently visited by the local Indians for trading purposes and in negotiations. Cheeto Tuskegee and Seminole leader Abiaka Sam Jones himself came to parley there. Later in the 19th century, the former fort site was used for the Fort Lauderdale House of Refuge, part of the Coastal Life Saving Service, which became the U.S. Coast Guard. When Coast Guard Base 6 was declared surplus in 1946, the city was able to raise the funds to purchase this valuable property, a true municipal treasure today. Fort Lauderdale is our city's namesake. Even though there is no building left there, the site is clearly deserving of the protection for potential archaeological information by being added to the city's historic register. I urge your approval of this application for designation. Susan Gillis.
Thank you.
Ralph.
Hello, my name is Ralph Krugler. I'm the historian for the Hillsborough Inlet Lighthouse, talking about just about the House of Refuge today. And I got my timer, so I will stay under 3 minutes. In shipwrecks, hypothermia it led to drownings in colder water climates. However, Florida's warmer waters allowed more victims to make it to shore. But then what? Well, in 1876, the first 5 houses of refuge were built on Florida's east coast. They were roughly 25 miles apart. Number 1 came at Bethel Creek, 2 at Gilbert's Bar, 3 at Orange Grove, now Delray, and 4 Fort Lauderdale, and 5 Biscayne Bay. 5 more stations would come about a decade later, but they were really not as important as the originals because more people were here by that time. Whereas other states had Coast Guard stations and U.S. life-saving stations with surfmen, all Florida was an undeveloped frontier at that time, and these unique houses of refuge wound up saving countless lives. Each station was identical with a 54 by 25-foot 2-story house, a boathouse, and a 20-foot long surf boat. Their main purpose was to provide safe haven to shipwrecked sailors. Earning about $400 a year plus provisions, a keeper and his family lived on the first floor, while the second floor was for guests. It was lined with cots. There were enough provisions for over 20 people to stay for 10 days waiting for rescue. Keepers watched for wrecks, walked the shore 4 times a day between 2 and 4 miles each way, looking for people to aid in distress. Now, if a wrecked sailor made it unspotted to shore, all they had to do was start walking because they knew they were in Florida. They knew about the houses of refuge. All they would do is walk north or south, and eventually they would come across a sign that pointed them in the direction of the nearest house of refuge. If they could read, there was an added benefit because there was actually a number of mile sign written on there to tell them how far to go. Now, as far as the Lauderdale house was concerned, as the lumber was being shipped, there was a bad storm that happened, and the ship was caught in the storm and actually came ashore, and consequently, they wound up constructing it in the wrong spot. They actually built it first where the Hugh Taylor Birch State Park is now, but then shortly after completion, they actually log rolled it with logs from the old Fort Lauderdale, the fort of Fort Lauderdale, to its correct position closer to the New River. Now, during the Barefoot Mailman era, those mail carriers actually spent their nights in Orange Grove, Fort Lauderdale, and the Biscayne Bay's houses of refuge twice a week. Unique to Lauderdale, when Ed Hamilton, the famous mail carrier, died while trying to cross the Hillsborough Inlet, it was this keeper was the one who discovered the man who illegally used his boat that led to Hamilton's death. He actually led the marshal to find and arrest the man. Now, later, when the lighthouse came into operation, ships were still hugging the shoreline due to bad charts, and we all know about the reefs out there. And when the ships hit the reefs, all those sailors wound up at the House of Refuge. Well, the first keeper, Alfred Burgell, actually aided all those people and would bring all those people to the House of Refuge once the storm had passed. Now, you can see the House of Refuge is interwoven with other landmarks and legends of the area and should not be forgotten because this is Florida history, it's our local history, and it should be celebrated. Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this point, I'd like to move forward with Bob, and we're going to dig deeper into the archaeological aspect and the actual findings. Thank you, Bob.
Robert Bob Carr. I'm the director of the Archaeological and Historical Conservancy and a archaeologist formerly working with the National Park Service in the state of Florida and the director of Miami-Dade County's Historic Preservation Division and the county archaeologist. My interest in Fort Lauderdale occurred as early as 1974 when I was working for the state of Florida and I was asked to participate in an archaeological survey of Broward County. And as part of that, I got to interview Mr. Vreeland, who was the son of the House of Refuge keeper. When I met him in 1974, he was had to be in his 80s. And he very clearly indicated the location of all types of military artifacts, including musket balls and buttons and other things that had been found in the vicinity of where we know the fort is at. And it was, that was the beginning, at least, of the first physical evidence of the archaeological aspect of the fort. Since then, I've directed 4 different studies in the fort area going back to 2011, and now I understand all of you have the 2011 report, which you didn't have purview of at the last meeting in September, which would have been important in helping you form your idea about the significance of the site and the rationale for the boundaries. And now that you have that, and I'm not suggesting that you've all fastidiously turned every page and read everything, but to say in summary, we found many dozens of military buttons during the restoration and renovations of the parking lot in the Fort Lauderdale Beach Park. We found numerous artifacts, including a very rare Corps of Engineers button, which indicated that people were involved with either constructing the fort or possibly mapping. We found things that were utilitarian. We found of interest in terms related to the Miccosukee and the Seminole. Actually found a coin from 1803, a Spanish coin that had been perforated. And the basis of that interpretation is it was very typical for Miccosukee women to wear these coins. And Spanish coins at that time of the Seminole Wars was in circulation up, in fact, until the Civil War. And I thought with all the talk and discussion, what would be good is to see if I can do this right. I have I brought some things here, but in addition to the various artifacts, we actually found something. It looks like if somebody sees a little bag with musket balls around, they must have dropped somewhere. But I wanted to show you some of the musket balls that have been found. One of the most important parts or pieces of evidence was a wooden post, and the wooden post was cut. It was part of either a stockade or a picket. We had that radiocarbon dated in November of this year. It turned out that it was 230 years old, so certainly almost conclusive proof of the fort. And I don't think anybody here is in disagreement about the significance of the fort. I think it's important that the evidence is so overwhelming in terms of the importance of this particular location. I think part of the concern or debate, as they say, the devil's in the detail. What should the boundaries of this designation encompass? And certainly the survey maps that were provided by a professional surveyor encompass what we call the principal fort area. That map it showed locations, 2 parcels, and it wasn't an attempt to precisely locate where every artifact might be, because we don't know where every artifact might be. The idea of that parcel designation was to provide an ample area that would allow for the recovery of any potential archaeological material and future development or redevelopment of the park. So it wasn't an attempt to connect the dots in such a precise way, because it's not possible. I would suggest that if you do agree that this termination designation should go forward, that one of the conditions should be that ordinary maintenance should be left to the staff, and something that doesn't have to come in front of this board. We deliberately deleted and did not include Bay of Mar, because it is on, first, it's on the other side of the property. It is city-owned property that's leased, because we did not want to complicate your mission here in terms of the review of the possible work that may go on here. So I know Mr. Tate is very concerned about that, but that was not the intent. So the idea was to encompass the publicly accessible areas, to give it a proper area for review. The consultant archaeologist talked about a 100-foot buffer. I think that the parcel boundaries that we provided in September are adequate to include all of what would be determined as being the principal fort area. So with that, thank you.
While you're talking about the principal fort area and the boundaries, could the board see something on a map, Tricia, that would show something like that?
Tricia, you have the plat that was introduced in September, right? The map, I mean.
Jerry, could you pull up the archaeological presentation?
Yes, from September. That's the only. That's the only
asked because we've seen so many maps.
I know. So we
can go to slide 3, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what is proposed.
There you go.
And this proposed boundary is because this is the extent of where you think archaeological materials may be found?
That's correct. Because in a fort, it isn't just within a palisade. They have camps outside. They have all kinds of activity areas. People are doing all kinds of things.
Sure.
And whereas the amount of material will likely decrease as you go further, the principal area is certainly encompassed within those boundaries.
Okay, and the thin red line is, you're calling a buffer area.
The thin red
yes,
line
yes,
just
so-
indicates there's
so in
a
my
division
opinion-
of parcels.
Pardon?
It's just simply a map of two parcels. So
Oh, okay.
the darker
Right.
red line is showing the full boundary.
Right. In my opinion, it doesn't need any additional buffer. I think those boundaries probably encompass it.
And I have a question probably to Tricia, because while we're talking about all the overlays, I'm glad that the restrooms have been shown on one of the maps and the DAR monument. But where is the contentious location of the volleyball courts and the pickleball courts? I know that doesn't have anything to do with this approval, but I think it's part of the larger discussion.
Yeah. I would keep this to the historic factors. We that's what we're here today
Okay.
for. That's kind of exceeding the conversation of what we're trying to do.
Well, but I just think if somebody could point out, even show us where on the map that is.
It's just in the northern corner of this.
The northern right-hand corner?
Northern
Of the
right-hand
red?
corner.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can see it right there where the basketball courts are. Is that where it's at?
That's where the basketball courts are.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it's within this boundary.
And so I would like to add that most of these discoveries occurred in 2011, and this designation, this idea, has languished in all this time. And in that interim time, people with metal detectors have gone into the site, have literally looted and taken dozens and dozens of artifacts. And you have in your package the magazine article that this one treasure hunter actually was proud of finding a very valuable coin on city property. I talked to this gentleman. I asked if he would donate this stuff. It belongs to the city, in my opinion. But he was not interested in doing that. And we need to have signs that say no metal detecting.
So how would you, one last question. How would you prevent someone in the future from digging on the site?
Well, the first thing, you have to have signs, because
Of course.
that's number one. And the staff needs to be educated to see when they see somebody metal detecting within the sensitive area that they say, hey.
Which
it's not
staff are you talking
here.
about?
The beach staff, park
Okay.
staff. Yeah,
Okay.
park staff. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Just make one comment, if you will. Today, I was told by, I believe it was Ralph.
We have a list.
He was on the beach, and there was a metal detector out there. And I suspect that since this application has been in place, there's been more and more people out there trying to look for materials on the beach, which is
Okay.
this designation would protect. The other thing I want to point out is that the survey, the archaeological resource survey that Bob did, the shovel testing, was a much smaller area
Right.
compared to the one done in 2011. And I
Right.
believe he spoke to that. So the amount of materials that came up in this recovery would have been much smaller just based on the square footage alone.
We understand.
So I'm going to wrap this up with, as I said, Ralph Brooks is an attorney. He is here representing Broward Trust, and he's going to speak to you.
Would you? Just
You
a
have a
moment.
question? Oh, you want to answer the question? Go ahead.
Chair Marcus, Chris Cooper, Deputy City Manager. You're talking a lot about digging on the beach. I just want to answer a quick question for you. So our park rules already prohibit digging on the beach, metal detecting. All of that is a prohibited activity. I don't know if we have signs, but the suggestion's great. But if anybody was found to be doing that, that would be a violation. We would have to address it through our park rangers and other staff.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Please introduce yourself.
Gladly. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Ralph Brooks, and I'm board certified in city, county, and local government law. And I've been board certified for over 20 years, since 2004. I currently represent the city of Naples, St. Pete Beach, Treasure Island, and I formerly represented Monroe County, as well as Bradenton Beach, and a small town called Yankeetown up in Citrus County. And I have been representing historic preservation boards, including currently I sit, as your assistant city attorney sits, with the board, the Historic Preservation Board for St. Pete Beach, where we have the beautiful Paso Grill, and you may be familiar with the Don Cesar Hotel and neighborhood. And I also have represented applicants with the Key West Historic Preservation Board in Old Town Key West. I also represented the St. Augustine Lighthouse in their renovation, restoration, and expansion of their recreation activities and parking lots. Today I took a look at your code. I've been working with the Broward Trust for Historic Preservation as their lawyer, helping put together these applications to make sure they meet the code criteria. In your code 47-2411C7, there's a number of criteria. The first three criteria are the ones that are applicable to archaeological sites. The other ones are more architectural. Archaeological heritage. I think staff agreed with us, as well as your consultants from Coastal Archaeology and History Research, Inc., that we met that criteria. The code says or. You can meet any one of these. And then the staff report and CAHR, your city consultant, agreed that we met the event, the fort number 3, as well as the earlier historical events. And then C, I think there was indication from staff that we should do more research, which certainly can be done while this site is designated with regard to persons and people. You've heard about some of the Seminole chiefs, Miccosukee chief. There's an important figure named Dr. Hughes, who was served as the doctor at the fort, and he wrote an incredible diary and journal that gives us a look into the life in Fort number 3 of Fort Lauderdale. So you meet the criteria. Important thing from a legal perspective is that this doesn't preclude development on the site. As was mentioned before, it's seaward of the CCCL, much of it is seaward of the erosion control line. But even if that weren't in play, this is city land that's owned by the city. And as we did in St. Augustine, the parking lots actually serve to protect the resources that are under the pavement. So parking lots, basketball courts, other kinds of courts, volleyball courts, even pickleball courts, anything that's within the first 15 inches and doesn't disturb down deeper than 15 inches actually helps to cover and preserve that area and protect it. At the parking lot entrance, you'll see another additional marker. It's the city's 100th centennial, and there's an additional marker in addition to the Daughters of the Revolution. I'm sure you guys have all seen it. It's actually on the seawall, the curved seawall. In addition, I think I did want to mention, yes, that there are some metal detectors out there. I was out there this afternoon, and there was one walking right by the lifeguard stand. So once in a while they're out there, but what I observed, he was only sifting the very surface, and he wasn't going down 15 inches, of course. But still some signage would be appropriate. So I think that the designation of this area can also be a draw, as it is in St. Augustine, as it is on Pine Island to the Calusa, a designated site. There are archaeological tourists that come to various cities in Florida, particularly people who are Florida natives and people who live in Florida. I call it intra-Florida tourism. I'd like to take my children and walk back in time and see these historical archaeological markers and look at what was there and imagine what life was like. So that's one of the things that I think that this can bring to the city, and it's a positive influence, and I encourage you to designate the site. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll open it up to public comment, and I have the cards here. So Jairus Gross, is she here? Great. Thanks.
And Chair, each member of the public has 3 minutes to speak.
Yes.
I'll be quick. Thank you for having me. I support this designation. This area is about recognizing the history, culture, and community memory, all a part of the land itself. The land is not a commodity. It's not a backdrop. It's living people, and it carries memory, loss, and responsibility. Preserving spaces like this is a part how we choose to acknowledge the past and move forward with care, respect, rather than repeating the same harm. My primary concern is the process. I have watched histories get erased and lives get lost. The environmental impacts of moving ground and soil, that's a whole other aspect of this. But now we know better, and I just hope we do better and take some time to review and consider the people sitting around here that don't want that space, that care about that space. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Courtney Crush.
Chair, if you want to call like the next person in line just so that they're ready to speak.
Thank you. The next person will be Chris Nelson.
Good evening, Mr.
Hello.
Chair, board members. Courtney Crush, 900 Coconut Drive. I live in the city of Fort Lauderdale. I'm here to express some concern about this application. This is a proposed designation of an archaeological landmark. As this board well knows, archaeological sites, as I think Mr. Carr indicated, are sites that are designated because they're likely to yield the presence of artifacts on or below the ground surface, indicating past use by people. What the board, I'm sure, also knows is this property and a larger portion of the beach are currently designated as archaeological significant areas by the city of Fort Lauderdale and Broward County. So today, if one is going to put in a building permit or a development permit all up and down the beach, almost all the way up to Commercial Boulevard, down to the cut to the port, and all along the New River, one would need to hire an archaeologist, do testing, and submit that report to the city, which seems to be the goal here. I heard Mr. Carr say, do we want to ensure that if there are artifacts that are not covered by parking lots already today, that they would have the opportunity. It would seem that, I don't know if the city is applying that process to itself on the sandy beach, but it certainly could. The regulations and the comprehensive plan seem to accommodate that. So there is the potential presence of artifacts in a much larger geographic area, as was mentioned. Native Americans were here living up. I know Bonnet House has a significant source and presence, and the New River, which certainly was the center of much older activity at this location. The application itself speaks a lot to history and location. I'm still unclear on the boundaries, and I would think it would be very important if you're not going to designate the entire archaeological significant area, which again, I think already serves the purpose that this application is seeking to protect. But it would seem that a little more specificity with respect to the surveyed boundaries of any application and a justification for why this should be treated differently than the archaeologically significant area would be something the city would really want to think about. My personal concern is the sand, not everything that is asphalted, but as this board well knows, once something is designated as a landmark, essentially if you touch it, have ground disturbance, if you touch a landmark site or do something to a landmark site, you need a certificate of appropriateness. I know the staff report mentions that there should be a management plan.
If you could finish up.
But as written, your code right now could require someone digging in the sand, someone laying a covering down. I know this board a month ago dealt with the Lauderdale Beach Hotel and the AstroTurf. Laying something on a landmark site required a certificate of appropriateness. So does the city, if it wants to allow the public on the beach, have to go through those steps? And I don't think that's what the goal is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Chris Nelson, and he'll be followed by Tracy Powell.
Hello, Board. Chris Nelson, and thank you so much for listening to this tonight, and thank you so much, Michaela, who's you've done a great job, and watching all your interviews and everything, and all the people that spoke. I'm getting a whole history lesson about Fort Lauderdale here. And no, from what that last lady said, let's make sure that if we designate this a historic document or a historic landmark, that it's not some deal where now all of a sudden people aren't allowed to lay on the beach there or something. So, make sure that you're not like opening the door to anything like that. But when I first got, my name's Chris Nelson. I'm wearing this Save the Trees shirt from an earlier thing that I did today, trying to save the Los Olas trees because, if anything is we've seen is that this commission will tear down Ivy Stranahan's house and burn it to the ground to build a new condo building. And if they weren't prevented to, they'd be like, oh, Ivy Stranahan, well, she was all yesterday. Who cares? We're building new condos today, onward and upward. So it's very important that we designate these things historic landmarks to not only protect them from these commissioners, but any future ones that want to come along and mess with the land and do other things with it. Because Fort Lauderdale's got a lot of history in it. I didn't know about any of this. I just went and looked at the at that landmark designation there, and I'm learning all about this now, and just how cool it is that we've got a lot of history here in Fort Lauderdale. And I saw what a shame it was when historic Maxwell Room had to go out of business, and now it's called the historic Maxwell Room, but it's not designated as a historic landmark. So there's a lot of things, just trees, anything that needs to be designated, we should designate now to protect those things, and because that guy's going to sell that place, and that historic room is going to be torn down. And because there's no one there to stop it, we can't just rely on the goodwill of commissioners. And I'll tell you, Commissioner Steve Glassman came in here. I don't know if it was this room, but he gave the most eloquent speech. You should go back before he became a commissioner on why this should be designated a historic landmark. Now I saw him on the news going, oh, well, we're not really sure if it was in that area or another area or whatever. I mean, being on the commission a while has obviously changed the man, but I urge you to go back.
Can we stick to evidence, please?
I urge you to go back and listen to that speech that you gave.
Let's stay on subject.
It was very, very eloquent, and I agree with him on that this absolutely should be designated a historic landmark. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if you really like to designate things, maybe you should apply to the historic board. Next, we have Tracy Powell, followed by Ted and Sarah.
All right, good evening. My name is Tracy Powell. I'm a Fort Lauderdale native. I'm here tonight in support of archaeological site designation for city-owned public land at Fort Lauderdale Beach, and more broadly in support of how we as a city honor history and apply our own processes when it matters. As you guys all heard, the application before you is not for a single structure or a single moment in time. It is a multi-component archaeological site reflecting multiple periods of occupation and use, including indigenous presence, historic military activity associated with the Third Fort, and other documented historic uses. So cool, Bob Carr, professional archaeological investigators conducted over multiple years, document these layered components, and city staff, they've confirmed on the record that this site meets the criteria for archaeological designation under the Unified Land Designation Regulations. All right, this decision also comes at an important moment. Florida is participating in a statewide effort to recognize and tell a fuller story of our past as part of the nation's upcoming 250th anniversary. That effort isn't just about a celebration, it's about stewardship. It asks us to look honestly at where we come from and to protect the places that hold that history, especially when they are complex and layered. This is exactly what this site represents. While decisions involving sites like this can be challenging, the role of the Historic Preservation Board is not to weigh convenience or future policy considerations. It is to apply the criteria already adopted by the city based on the evidence in the record and to determine whether designation is warranted under those standards. Archaeological designation doesn't close the area. It provides a framework for care, ensuring that future ground disturbing activity on public land is approached thoughtfully and consistently with archaeological context, with the understanding that once archaeological context is lost, it cannot be recovered. If there are questions about boundaries or buffers, those are procedural refinements, you guys. They do not diminish the significance of this multi-component site, nor do they undermine its eligibility for designation. Respectfully, this moment is not about whether the site matters. The record already answers that, confirms it, right? It's about whether we apply our rules consistently when it matters. The board's discretion here is about how to designate this multi-component archaeological site, not whether it deserves recognition, rather it reserves designation. Thank you for your time and stewardship.
Thank you. So we have Ted and Sarah, and next we'll have Jaime Pasicos. I hope I'm, okay.
Wow, Tracy, that was great. My name is Ted and Sarah. I'm the president of the River Oaks Civic Association. You know somebody's been here a long time when they say Miami. That's where I know, because I grew up here, and when I hear Miami, I know that's a long-time resident. Board, Historic Preservation Board, very important. We need you now more than ever. I was born here in Fort Lauderdale, Broward General Hospital in 1956. On this past week, I was at the Himmersey Village Historic Preservation Zoning Update. Today, I was at a Save the Trees protest for Las Olas Boulevard. Today and tonight, I'm at this about historical designation of the beach. I mean, golly, you know, it seems like the DNA of this city that made us great, Fort Lauderdale, is now under attack. And we need this board right now more than ever to really do the historic preservation that they are meant out to be. I mean, to me, with learning, like Chris said, about this history lesson, if this isn't a spot to be designated, then what is? You know, I mean, this fits the perfect history of Fort Lauderdale. But and then to hear that zone is A1A is the line that they can build, that should have been case closed right there, if you ask me. But right now, you're the Historic Preservation Board. We really need you to stand up and start fighting for us residents, because, you know, we're just losing parts of our city that are just too iconic and too heartfelt for us residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Michael Barron. Did he speak? No? Okay. Want to do it yet? No? Thank you. I have two cards for you here. Chris Stekowski. And excuse me if I mispronounced.
That's okay. You can just call me Chef.
All right, Chef.
Answer to that.
Please jump into the microphone.
No problem. Okay, jeez.
And next we'll have Sarah Iris. Starts with an R. I can't read it.
Yeah, great saying that.
Please, Chef.
No problem. My name's Krista Husky. I'm multi-generational Fort Lauderdale native dating back to 1923. I am also, may not be a member of the SAR, but I'm a member, or the DAR, but I'm a member of the SAR and the Sons of Patriots. That's pre-revolutionary for those who might not know what that's about. So my family, my relatives were most likely at that dedication. Why are we here? Because we need to start protecting our town. And if we can't protect where the town began, what are we here for? It's getting really crazy with a lot of stuff that's going on. And I heard mention it's city-owned property. It's public-owned property. City doesn't own it. The public owns it. When I hear things about Mr. Tate, I could give a hoot, and I'm sure the rest of the room will agree, with what Mr. Tate has to say or thinks about public land. The fort, the city, the Historical Preservation Board is put here to protect the city, the people, its history. So the past and history is talking to us. It's asking you, protect me, save me, don't let me go. The same thing with a lot of the historical stuff, like the historic district, and now we're going to raise buildings and all the rest of this stuff. Look, we need you to do the right thing. It's not hard. It's real easy. And I don't know how long any of you folks have been here in town or where you're from or what else, but I would think that it would be really important to save the place that started the town. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sarah? And next we'll have Sally Alosals, DAR. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm Sarah Ayres-Rigsby. I'm here with the Florida Public Archaeology Network. We are a statewide educational organization dedicated to promoting and facilitating stewardship, appreciation, and public value of Florida's archaeological sites. So I want to commend both the Michaela and her team and Bob Carr for putting together such a detailed proposal and then for designation and going back and doing some additional survey. And I also really want to commend city staff as well and the archaeological consultant for putting together a very thoughtful presentation as well, where they really evaluate the designation. And I just wanted to call the board's attention to something that came up both in the city presentation and in Bob Carr's presentation as well, and that is the need for the long-term management plan for the site, right? So ensuring that there's still going to be that public access and facilitation of that public history, right? If you go through all the work of designating it, you want to make sure that people know about the designation, that people are visiting the site because of that historic value, but also that people are able to use the site in a reasonable way. So I just wanted to highlight that that management plan focus that I heard from both parties in case you missed it in the midst of all the maps and the yellow lines and everything. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And next we have Sally. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, good evening and happy Groundhog Day. My name is Sally Alshouse, and I'm here to address Agenda Item 25002. I have been sworn. I am a lifetime member of the Daughters of the American Revolution and National Vice Chair of the American Indians Committee. The DAR is an organization that is dedicated to supporting historic preservation, patriotism, and education. Next slide. I have been in contact with the NSDAR Historian General's office in Washington, D.C. Their office verified the authenticity of the current NSDA marker and its location. Next slide, please. According to NSDAR, the original location of the marker is parcel 37, Bahia Mar, according to the plat thereof, recorded in Plat Book 37, page 39 of the public records of the Broward County of Broward County. As you can see on this slide, the exact longitude and latitude of the original marker are provided. Next slide. On May 13, 1929, the Himmershey chapter of NSDAR placed a marker commemorating the original fort in 1838 by Major William Lauderdale and his troops during the Second Seminole War. The verbiage on the plaque reads, "This tablet marks the site of Old Fort Lauderdale, built in 1838 by Major William Lauderdale in command here during the Seminole Wars. Erected by Himmershey Chapter Daughters of the American Revolution, 1929." Next slide. The Himmershey Chapter replaced the marker in 2005, along with Mayor Jim Noggle, other city officials, and members of DAR, including yours truly. Next slide. As you can see, the NSDAR Historian General's Office once again reapproved the replacement of the marker where it stands today on Fort Lauderdale Beach. I support the application presented, as well as preservation of the existing DAR marker and all pertinent information provided this evening. As we celebrate and recognize America 250, let us collectively be a part of our country's history. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. And next we have Ralph Krugler, and he'll be followed by Leo Loren. Is Ralph here, or did he speak? Pardon? He spoke, okay. So we have Leo Leroux? Sorry about that. Followed by Ralph Brooks. Oh, you did. And then Maggie Hunt will be last.
Good evening. My name's Leo Lorenz. I want to start off just like to remind the public that's here today of Florida Statute Section 112.313, which is Standards of Conduct for Public Officers. The term public officer includes any person elected or appointed to hold office in any agency, including any person serving on an advisory board or body. No public officer shall solicit or accept anything of value to the recipient.
All right. Are we going to speak about evidence here
Yes,
today?
it's coming.
Okay.
It's all part of it.
Okay.
Okay. Including gifts, loans, rewards, promise of future employment, favor, or service based upon any understanding that the vote, official action, or judgment of the public officer would be influenced thereby. So, you know, it's been a well-known fact that the designation of the beach area covered by this historic application creates a conflict for the developers of the Bahia Mar, and it limits their ability to create a private beach club on the area, as well as construct pickleball courts south of the pedestrian bridge. Now, that's a new change because they had just announced now, the mayor had, that they were going to go ahead and now put the pickleball courts on the south side of the bridge. So it's kind of like a well-known fact that certain commissioners in the city have actively solicited other public officers to vote against the historic designation, of which this will provide a direct benefit to the Bahia Mar development. And that's what everybody should understand. Paragraph 6 of the section states, misuse of public position. No public officer shall corruptly use or attempt to use his or her official position or any property or resource which may be within his or her trust, or perform his or her official duties to secure a special privilege, benefit, exemption for himself, herself, or others. Others in this case is the Bahia Mar.
Excuse me for interrupting, but staying on message, what is your message here?
That is just to let everybody understand that people have to be held to their moral convictions and not by the influence of commissioners.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And that wraps up, oh, Maggie, I'm sorry. Almost.
Maggie Hunt. I live in Sailboat Bend, and I'm part of the Broward Trust for Historic Preservation. I think it's amazing what's been found on this site. Post with the tenon, carbon dated, and for those of you who have ever built anything, you know that a tenon means it was part of a structure. It's not just a piece of wood. Musket balls, an 1838 Liberty half dime, Navy buttons, Army buttons, bronze stirrup fragment, K Company cap insignia, and lead slag used to make musket balls. And in the report, it says that there was enough lead slag found there to show it was a daily activity at the fort. This board approved local designation of what we now call Tequesta Park in Sailboat Bend. This is a normal pathway for national designation, And it's mentioned in the reports that this is an important part of why this national designation is important. It's not just to be able to prevent digging or whatever. Since this site has more varied artifacts, being the fort site, more conclusive of daily activity relevant to our history, if you vote no, then we would like to know why you think this site does not rise to the same level as DeQuesta Park for designation, which for artifacts mostly has pottery shards, fish bones, but no conclusive evidence of the DeQuesta living there or working there, but probably a place they came to fish and maybe have a party. For your information, at our archaeological site in Sailboat Bend, it was designated as an archaeological site about the same time it was officially made a park for public use. We daily sit chairs there, walk our dogs there. The city has put benches there, you know, the picnic table type, and they can maybe answer to whether they had to go through the Historic Preservation Board, or you all know whether they did to put that there. So that should answer your questions about public use in an archaeological site that's a park in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, would you just like to ask one more time if anyone wants to speak on the record?
Would anyone else like to speak on the record?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
So I'm happy to have everybody here. I wish you guys would come to all our meetings. That would be nice. I'm going to stick to how I have voted in about all of our meetings, and that's in sync with the staff report. So I concur with the designation and base my vote on the staff's finding of the cultural and archaeological heritage and the location of the site as significant.
What is your take on the boundaries?
I'm fine with the boundaries as they've been depicted.
Which boundaries?
The ones that were laid out by Tricia.
The ones that are proposed by the applicant or modified boundaries.
Oh, I'm good with, I'll defer to the board, but I again stick to the ones that Tricia. I think that might be the yellow box.
Jerry. We could go probably down about 12 slides. There, oh, one back, yeah. The blue area, well, yeah, the blue box is matches the area that's depicted by the archaeologists in the summary report as being the primary archaeological activity for the fort.
And the tan area
Is the proposed by the applicant in the designation report.
and the purple was.
Can you please turn the mic on? Chair, could you please turn on your mic?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been turning it on and off. And the purple is the 2011.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gabrielle, I couldn't tell where the voice was coming from. Thank you. Sorry, Alan. You're good? Say something.
I'm going to pass for now.
Okay. Tim?
Oh, boy. Well, we're all here for the same reason, regardless of what our feelings are on this topic. Everyone in this room is here because they care about their city. We have different opinions about what should be done with this situation. I've got a few questions. I think it's important for all of us to respect the fact that we're all here because we care. I don't agree with everybody that got up here, and I'm sure they're not going to agree with me, but I would ask everybody to be respectful to the fact that we're here because we care. I'm trying to get to some kind of a agreeable, harmonious combination of designation, recognition, honoring, respecting, protecting, informing the public of how important the history of our beach is and the history of Fort Lauderdale, where it came from. All those concerns should be taken care of. We have some issues that come under the guidelines of the way the application was submitted. And we have to stand by that as it's submitted or change it so that it can carry through and be legal and not be challenged. So if we get into splitting hairs and you wonder why, that's because I'm sure these attorneys could answer those questions for you. It's important that whatever we do here today, we keep in mind that this is forever. So it has to be taken care of. T's have to be crossed, I's have to be dotted. And some of the concerns I have are with the application. And I have a question for our city attorney. There's an outcry from some of the speakers and some of the conversations I had with people just in public or hear them about development on this piece of proposed designated land. That to repeat what I heard, the BHMR is going to build a private club, or somebody's going to come in there and build a condominium, or if we don't protect this land, it's going to get torn up like Las Olas Boulevard. It is my understanding that none of that can happen at all. It's just not possible. Is that true?
So you're asking, can you do development with an archaeological designation? Because I think it was stated for the record that
as it sits today, without this designation, that section of the beach that's being proposed for designation would disallow any private development being built there.
I had heard before previously from staff, right, that the designation for the archaeological designation would not prevent development in the future.
It would not prevent future development from occurring on the site. But at the end of the day, this is a public beach and park. It is
right,
it's
and
east of the coastal construction line, so some of the opportunities for development are limited.
Okay. I just think it's important for everybody to understand that. I also think it's important for everyone to understand that even with this designation, and this gentleman who's representing the trust explained that the designation would not prevent future development of that area for recreational use, for anything that was not going to impede more than 15 inches. However, if it did go down further than 15 inches, there would have to be some sort of testing, discussion, permitting process, authorization by the city. So if we wanted to build a pavilion, or we wanted to build some structure that helped handicap get to the beach, or anything that would impede the guidelines that have yet to be set. Now, we do have some guidelines in place already, and we heard from the Courtney Crush, who explained that there are guidelines in place. I tend to be in somewhat of agreement with that, but I'll put this to the board. We are halfway there, in my opinion. We are not all the way there for a yes or all the way there for a no. There is so much more to be talked about with this. I'm totally uncomfortable going in the direction of just saying, for those who are so passionate and want to go home tonight feeling as though they know that their beach is going to be protected, you need to understand that a yes tonight does not guarantee that, okay? We have other things to sort out. If we're going to have a management plan, we're going to have a management plan, or we're not going to have a management plan. If we had to vote on this application as it exists today, right now, without any changes, my particular feeling on the matter is I would decline it. until such time it's amended to suit what has been discussed tonight and some of the new information that has come forward. We asked for a change in the maps. We asked for new things and overlays to look at. We got an explanation, and it was interesting, and it sounds good, but I'm not comfortable just digesting all that now and making a decision. And that's exactly where I stand. So I just want the board to understand. I think there's more to look at than what we have to look at, but if I had to make a decision tonight, and that's what the board wants to do, I'm not going to vote in favor of it.
Thank you, Tim. Shane?
Yeah, thanks for everyone who took the time to come this evening and speak. We do appreciate it. I tend to agree with Tim's thoughts. The boundary seems a little arbitrary. I think, if we are going to move forward with something like this, it needs to be more concrete. As with respect to the perimeter, on the comments about metal detecting on the beach, I think, if that's something that's already prohibited, then perhaps when we get to the later items in the agenda, like communication to the city commission, that maybe suggesting stricter enforcement of that would be desirable, at least from the Historic Preservation Board's perspective, so that at least the artifacts that may or may not be there are protected for the future. But other than that, I agree with Tim.
Thank you. Kim?
Okay. So learning about all of this, seeing the information, hearing about the 2011 study, the new study, what we asked for, what we needed, hearing stuff that has nothing to do with historic preservation designation, it can be very hard to stick to the facts. Us as a board are to be here to say, should this be designated a historic preservation site or should it not? Not what somebody wants to do in the future, what somebody did before. It's factual, it's data-based. That is what our job is. I'm telling you, you might think that what I'm going to say you're not going to agree with, but just hear me out with when I say that. Because to fast forward to what I'm going to say, with all of the data that we have been given, this should be designated a historical preservation site. That's what our job is right here. Everything else, the boundaries, we can look at that. They've done the studies of where the forts are, how far it goes. There's different lines that come in play, but our job tonight is to say, should this be designated a historical site? I agree and would approve tonight based on what we have.
Okay, thank you. Jonathan.
As we were listening to a lot of the comments that our neighbors had, I was just taking some general notes just to kind of be able to reflect, because it is a very sensitive situation. Thank you all for coming out and addressing and caring for our community. I think it's important that you're here, and it's clearly a really sensitive topic. And I heard the board and some of their discussions as well, and I understand a lot of where they're coming from, and it's definitely a concern. A couple of you had some really, really good points on conviction and where we should be at. The first concern I have right off the bat is the differential between a historic designation and an archaeological designation. Can I understand that? Are they both the same?
So under the code, it talks about historic designation. There's different options for what you can actually designate. You can designate a historic landmark site, an archaeological site, or an interior landmark. So those are the options under the umbrella of historic designation. They all have to qualify under the same criteria that's listed in the code. There's 7 that are listed, and only one of them have to be met in order to meet the criteria for designation.
Okay. So as we continue, I've got some more concerns I wanted to address. I've been in the business in real estate down the New River, and I've ran across archaeological situations, and those are typically monitored when there's potential concerns. And my next question is there plans for this area from the city or from anyone else to be built on? I'm not aware of any.
Wait, yeah.
So
I have just to jump in here. Is there some kind of agreement that the city made with the owners of the new the Tate development going in across the way?
This is outside the purview, and we don't have that information.
But it influences the boundaries on what's happening on the beach.
Again, we're looking at the factors of the historic designation and whether this meets the criteria.
No, but I understand. But
Yeah.
if Mr. Tate has been involved in every board hearing by sending us letters, there's obviously a concern. I just want the board to be aware of everything that's going on. So
Yeah.
maybe we could find that out.
Okay.
As I have more concerns, I'm sorry to take your time up. But I wanted to address, if we have a significant erosion problem at times, depending on what's going on with the weather and concerns like that. And we get into the management program of, what if there is major erosion taken up into the potential archaeological site? How does that play out? And, so then I kind of fall into being in a position to have concerns about, if we're prepared to make a decision based upon not having these management plans. That's another concern I have. Another concern I have is back between 2011, it seemed like there was a lot of digging and a lot of a lot of things that were happening with this site. Why wasn't it designated then? Okay. And I just can't help myself but run through this. And, with the coastal line being there, I think that there's already processes involved in ensuring that if anything does take place, that they're there to ensure that we're already protected if there's concerns. So just a few things I wanted to lay out and some of my feedback.
Okay. Great. Is that it then? Then it's my turn. I'm sorry, who? Oh, I'm sorry. Robert, go ahead.
I listened very carefully to all the speakers, the presentations, and it might be helpful to know a little bit of my background. I was born in Boston, grew up in Boston, and if you want to talk about history, obviously I got involved early on and loved that aspect of the United States and the history of Boston. I came to Fort Lauderdale. My parents came to this area in 1970, and I've been here a long time. Loving this area, it's very dear to me. I'm also involved with history, of being a vice president of history for Fort Lauderdale. And how many of you know about the Lauderdale Beach Hotel, which in 1936 was the first hotel on the beach and established Fort Lauderdale as a tourist destination? Why do I mention that? Because I lived in the towers behind it. Las Olas Beach Club. And I spent 2 years researching Fort Lauderdale history, as well as the Lauderdale Beach Hotel, and there's a gallery there for the building. I learned a lot about the Tetestas, about the war, Fort Lauderdale, Lieutenant Lauderdale, and the House of Refuge. By the way, the information on the House of Refuge, there were some pieces added today, and I thank you for that I did not know. I have concerns of designating the area as historic because I look at the beach, and some of the board members presented it very, very well, that there are also concerns in that area. So when it comes to a vote, it's, in my opinion, not conclusive that I would vote for.
Okay, thank you. So it's my turn. I also want to thank everyone for showing up. I think your input is extremely important. I wanted to thank Mr. Carr for a really professional presentation. I, too, agree with staff. I would like to see this designated, but I have questions that haven't been answered. I don't think the boundaries of the property are set yet. And I only say that because whenever we have a application before us, it has to be final. It should show what the design is doing, what the intent is doing. And I see a lot of investigation here, but it doesn't seem like there's a final designation of what the boundary will be. I think it just needs to be, as staff has said, more precise and with the buffer area. I like the idea of the general location of the principal fort activity. I think that's very important. And I wonder if that would be an appropriate boundary for what we're looking at here. I can't answer that. I think Mr. Carr could probably answer it better, but I'm seeing we've looked at a lot of maps today, so I'm trying to make sense of all of this. A number of other miscellaneous questions. I also think that there should certainly be some kind of management plan and management team in place. And I think there should be some intent as to what happens to this if and when it's approved. Is there a marker on the beach, like a storyboard that tells the story of what was there? Are there actual designations in the sand to give an outline of where the house may have stood? In Philadelphia, they have, I'm from Philadelphia, and that's how I originally got into historic preservation. But they discovered where Benjamin Franklin's house was, but they didn't know the design. There were no pictures, no documentation, but they knew about what size it was in plan. So they built a frame of a house with a storyboard inside, and it tells you the story of where Ben Franklin's house was and what may have been its arrangement. So I think that's a really good point about educating the public, because as we saw today from a number of the presentations, there's a lot of education to be had, even for us who have lived here for a while. Another concern I have certainly is, as was brought up, is erosion on the beach, because, I mean, the whole beach could disappear and then we would lose all the muskets anyway. But my biggest question to the city, and this is what I don't understand fully, is why is this designation needed on top of existing proposed protections? Maybe this is a question for the applicant, but I wanted to ask the city and the applicant, because that was the essential question raised by city representatives earlier.
Yeah, the barrier island is an archaeologically significant zone. Properties within the zone are looked at when a proposal comes through for the Development Review Committee or for the Historic Preservation Board. So you probably recognize in the past when we've had applications for certificates of appropriateness that have come through the board before, where we've added on archaeological review to them because they are within a zone, but they are not designated as an archaeological site. They're designated within a historic district. And it's the same way it works with the Development Review Committee. If a property that's located within the archaeologically significant zone comes through our Development Review Committee with a proposal, we review it to take a look at what the archaeological requirements would be and whether or not they would need testing or monitoring as part of that process. But for this particular site, if anything that's proposed does not require the Development Review Committee, we don't imply any additional regulations as far as archaeological testing or monitoring is concerned.
So I get back to one of my earlier questions. Is there a development agreement that includes a portion of this site? And I do think it's important because it, obviously, if the developer's weighing in, he's concerned. So I would like to understand more about what's happening. Chris?
So what I'll tell you is what development in this section of the beach could look like if there was development planned on this site. I think there's been a lot of talk about the installation of pickleball courts, the moving of basketball courts, but for this group's purposes, I just want to tell you a little bit about what development on the beach might look like in general. So the beach, excuse me, has a park zoning district. So right on top of that, what is allowed to be developed in a park zoning district parcel is park uses. So there's examples all over the city. We have a lot of parks. There's a lot of things that get developed in there, but the key to all those uses within those parks, including the beach, is that those uses are permitted within the park zoning district. Second is if a portion of the beach or city property is used for a purpose that is a public use, but not a, but it's a lease or a license agreement. There's provisions in our charter that provide paths forward for those types of things to be negotiated, but at the end of the day, those uses need to be public uses. The coastal construction line came up a few times tonight, so while this is east of the coastal construction line, there's also paths forward within that to do construction. There's areas of our city east of the coastal construction line where structures, including houses, have been built. It is a very stringent review at the state. There are certain features that need to be designed, but it's not impossible to construct east of the coastal construction line. So all that being said, could development occur in this area? It could. Is there a review and certain regulations and requirements that go along with it? Yes. Is the city and the city commission involved in those decisions? Yes. So, you know, that's what I'd share with this board in terms of what development could look like if it were proposed in this area of the beach.
I'm sorry. So in answer to my previous question, why is Tate Development so interested in this site? Because we keep getting letters, so there's obviously an interest there. Is there any agreement, a prior agreement?
So there is an agreement with the Bahia Mar developer, who is Mr. Tate and his development corporation.
Right.
That agreement did include a request to add some facilities to the beach, including pickleball facilities. So that's public record. That's part of the.
Was there a specific location for them?
So locations discussed were the locations of the existing basketball courts.
Which is just in or just outside these boundaries?
It's within the boundaries proposed by the applicant.
Okay. And would that be allowed?
So development on the
Because
beach,
it doesn't
even
go
if it's
more than 15
archaeologically,
inches.
well, any development is possible in that area of the beach when it comes to archaeology. Right now, as Ms. Logan described, it's an archaeological significant zone. So anybody who would develop in that area would at least be limited to a phase 1 archaeological study. It's more than likely it would be a phase 2 archaeological study, which would mean the collection and cataloging of anything found beneath the surface. So while 15 inches so when you talk about a management plan, when you talk about something that's only 15 inches deep, that's something a management plan would contemplate, whereby if it was only proposed to be a certain depth, it may not have to come to the board for consideration. But if it were deeper, based on that management plan, it may need to come to the board for a C of A. So those are all considerations if a management plan was contemplated.
It would come to the board normally, Or it would come to the board only if
It would only come to the
deeper
board
than
if it were designated as an archaeological site. Right now, the development permits and the
So if we
archaeological
designated
review is.
today, it would have to, anything would have to come back to the board, including the basketball.
Well,
That's
you know, the management plan is really the key to that. So I think this gentleman had said, or one of the members of the trust team had said, you know, a certain depth, so a basketball court, a court of some sort. That management plan could say that does not need to come back to this board for consideration, but anything deeper would have to come back to this board for consideration. But without that management plan, anything would have to come back to this board for consideration.
Okay, thanks. Tim has a question for you.
In either case, whether it's designated or not, if it happened today and a private developer wanted to make a deal with the city makes a yes or a no on it. If it's designated, the city makes a yes or no on it. Their hands are not tied to say no.
As long as
the
it meets their-
designation does not preclude the city from developing that beach if they so choose to do so. They have the power to do that even after a archaeological designation.
That's correct.
So this designation will not preclude or stop, but it can delay development.
Okay.
Just to be clear on that, so everybody knows what they're signing up for, and they aren't expecting something to stop because they get this designation.
I'm not going to allow any more public input. Yeah.
Just to clear the record, again, you're here to review the application and determine if it meets the criteria for
Right.
designation as provided in the code.
All right, well, I just wanted to say one thing. We're not going to take any more public comment because we've taken it before.
Asking for public comment, asking to continue the item, to bring you a boundary and a management plan, if you would continue this.
So are you asking the board to come back?
Tabled or continued, and we will come back to you with the surveyed boundary.
Okay.
Management plan. We've got 5 people that want a boundary and a
Okay.
management plan, so I think it's been here for 100 years. so
Right.
Let's
Well,
do that.
Let the board members finish up talking, but we'll certainly take that into consideration. Kim?
I was just going to reiterate on the fact that we see a lot of letters, a lot of emails, a lot of things. I know there's different interest. You can go down a rabbit hole of the history. I'm from Michigan. We have Fort Mackinac. If you look into that, why do we have, Fort Lauderdale? There's a lot of things, but it's to look at the facts that were given and what we have found on this site. And so I've heard things regarding the development, but it's almost slightly irrelevant to what we're choosing to decide on. So be it we approve with conditions, the boundaries, whatever, we need the maintenance plan.
Okay.
Erosion, we could have hurricanes, we've had hurricanes, but it's what we have correct.
So I wanted to ask the board, we have a request for a continuance. Does someone like to make a motion? I can't make the motion.
Well, how many minutes would you like to get as a board? Would another 15 minutes be appropriate for you guys? Could you do it in 15 minutes? That's my suggestion.
No, what I'm talking about is going back to preparing a boundary and a management plan. I can't do it in 15 minutes.
No, continuous. He's asking the board to grant a continuance.
Some people call it a table it.
We understand.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Mr. Chairman, the way I read our board is there are at least 4 no's as I see them.
They're not no's, they're continuous.
They're not they're no's tonight. I think we should do this, right? I'm in favor of this. That's why, as you said, that's why we're here as a board. We meet the criteria. There's no reason why we shouldn't do this, but I defer to you guys. I appreciate your opinions. Therefore, I move to defer consideration of this topic for 2 months.
Okay. Why 2 months?
So that we have time.
Well, why don't we ask the applicant?
I believe
it's his motion. I think we have a motion on the floor. We should vote on it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure the applicant agreed.
I will also say This is the second time they've come. We've had a number of postponements. I think it's time that we vote. We've heard everything. We've had a lot of knowledge, and I believe we should vote tonight.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Which motion are you talking about?
Alan made a motion. Alan, repeat your motion, please.
The motion I made was to continue consideration of the historic designation for 2 months.
Okay. And that's okay with the applicant. Is there a second to that?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Kim. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
All right, we have to have a individual vote.
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes. So the vote, I'm sorry, it fails? 3-4, okay. So that means that we'd like to see you back in 2 months?
No.
Oh, no.
The opposite.
Oh,
No,
it is the
you're
opposite.
voting for the recommendation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or the recommend denial or approval to the city commission.
Wait a minute. I was under the impression that vote was for a continuance.
Yeah,
And you voted
it failed.
in favor of it.
And it was
Yeah,
defeated 4
it
to
didn't pass, okay.
It was
Okay.
defeated 4-3.
I know, okay. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, I move to designate the district as historic.
What district?
This district that we've been talking about. I'd like to have a vote.
Archaeological site.
It's not a district, it's a
So
area.
we have a
Yeah.
historic designation.
Are we back to?
Wait a minute. So I'm not understanding what is going on here.
We
Wait,
just,
can I
we
offer
just
to
knocked
explain?
down a
Please.
default.
So Alan made a motion to defer this application for 2 months.
Right.
That motion failed.
Failed.
So now Alan is going to make another motion, which I'll let him read.
Okay.
Or me.
Can we, before we, sorry, with the motions, because based upon the facts, and I believe, Tim, you weren't happy because of the boundaries. But was there another reason that you opposed to this based upon the facts that we have? I guess I would like clarification on why some of us are saying no.
My no was a combination of the boundary being incomplete. We had been specific about that, and I agreed with staff that needs to be better. And I also felt that the amount of information that came across us tonight was extensive, and I could not approve the designation at this time until more information was gathered. So I'm declining. If you don't mind, could I please finish? I don't think I interrupted anybody who got up there and spoke, so I would appreciate the same in return. Thank you. I'm not in favor of this application as it's been submitted. My vote is no.
Okay. So Alan, you had another motion.
I do. I move to recommend approve the request for archaeological site designation of the 3rd Fort Lauderdale Resource Group located at 640 Seabreeze Boulevard to the City Commission under case number UDP HPD 25002, based on the finding that this request does meet criteria as outlined in section 47-24.11.c.7 of the ULDR.
Alan, which of the criteria does it meet?
1 and 2 that the staff report found.
Okay, A and B.
A and B.
Thank you.
So it has to meet 3 criteria?
Just one.
Okay.
Yes, the applicant
All
applied
right,
for
so
under 3.
we have a motion on the floor Is there a second?
Based upon the facts, I second the motion.
Okay.
Based upon the facts, I second the motion.
All right, we'll call the roll.
Mr. Golden?
No.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Keith?
No.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Chavon?
No.
Mr. Taylor?
No.
And Chair Marcus?
No.
Failed 2-5.
All right.
You gotta be ashamed of yourself. Ashamed.
So you're making a recommendation to the commission. So then you'll have to make a recommendation, either way, denial or approval.
Or maybe we can make a recommendation with our recommendations or with concerns. I don't know how that works.
So the staff report outlines at the end of the staff report
Right.
some considerations for the board if you were to make a recommendation for approval with considerations.
Okay.
And there's several things that are outlined there, which include the management plan, the placement of a marker, and the modified boundaries.
Right. So, but we didn't vote for that.
That was not in the motion that Mr.
Right.
Jones
So
made.
we can make a communication based on all these. 'Cause
Well, you do need to make a motion of a recommendation to the city
to the
commission.
City commission.
And you can make a motion with considerations if you want to recommend approval, or if you want to recommend denial, you can do that. There are either way, but
Would someone like to?
I'm just confused. Didn't we just
the motion by Mr. Jones was a recommendation for approval, but
Okay, and that
I did
failed.
not hear that there were considerations as part of that to pass along to the city commission.
Okay, so if that failed, we can still make a motion to the city, which was, thank you.
Yes.
To have an improved marking of the site, if that's what we care to do, a better management plan at
Yes.
this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not prepared to put that together at this moment. But I would love to see more recognition to it, a better management plan. And, I don't want anybody walking out of here thinking that we don't respect the history of that beach. We did not designate it for other reasons.
We need someone to make a motion, including that.
Don't ever include me in that.
That does, all right.
We're still in a public hearing.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Pardon?
We're in a public hearing
Yes.
at the moment, and it's under board discussion.
Right. So with board discussion, would anybody else like to make another motion? You don't want to make a motion and try again with the considerations?
I think the considerations, such as public marking, we talked about metal detectors. Because I lived in the ocean in the building, I saw metal detectors, people at 11, 12 o'clock at night, and that has to be policed.
We understand.
And that's more difficult. And I think if we can assign people to police it during the night, that would be great. But 24/7 would not be that
We're
easy.
not going to decide that tonight, but what about boundaries? What about the items we talked about?
I think there could be some consideration of boundaries in a marker, but to officially designate it, we voted no.
You can
No,
always
you need to
bring-
make
you can always make
a
another
motion.
So there has to be a motion to either recommend it for approval, recommend it for denial, or recommend it for approval with conditions. Is that
Right.
Okay, so we have to.
That is correct, and the approval has already been voted on.
So we just passed something to deny it. isn't there some other middle?
Well, just to be clear, we didn't pass something to recommend.
We did not, okay.
We just didn't pass.
We didn't pass it.
But I guess the thing, like, with hearing everybody, that's, I guess, why I was asking, with the criteria that we have, what's the reasoning of saying no because we have the criteria? If we already denied that we're allowing them to defer for 2 months, we're saying we don't want to see the information, but we're also saying that we want to see boundaries and where the historic marker would be.
Well,
so would we?
I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Okay.
They can withdraw their application and come back with a full application. We've been kicking this can down the road for 6 months now, and it's just getting a little bit here, a little bit there. That's what I would like to see, like a full application with all the information and a more concrete perimeter, more precise perimeter. But I don't think that we should keep coming back 2 months down the road. If they want to come back with a more precise plan and a management plan presented, I think they should do that in a separate application once they've had their. I don't think it's fair to the board and for the public to keep putting this on the agenda every 2 months. Is my view on it.
So we just want them to do a full.
I'm not going to tell them what they should or shouldn't do, but that's my view on it.
So we're asking for 2 things, but we want them to just redo a whole application. Which
I haven't asked for anything.
Well, I know, but I'm just trying to understand.
We talked about 2 things, a management plan and more concise boundaries.
Right.
Somebody has to include that in a motion to approve and have it pass.
Based upon what we're hearing, I don't think they're going to do that, but
It's worth a try.
where's the number?
I have a question for a city attorney. If after tonight, when we put this to rest,
Will you tell me where I can?
are we allowed? Are we still bound by the Sunshine Law to discuss this with other board members and other people?
I would still refrain because it could be sent back.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
The reason I'm asking this is because I still have a lot of questions about what's going on that beach, who's doing what. I don't necessarily agree with my board member about that we just look at the data. There are a lot of tentacles on this, and if we pass something like this, it's forever. So we need to know, how is it going to affect the future? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it political? Is there something going on that we need to know about? That's why I'm holding back on this.
What are the tentacles you refer to? Because we're all talking
Well,
generally.
the simple little, I'll give you a little thing, okay? So we could go down 15 inches. Okay, what happens when you have to go down 2 feet? What if we want to put lighting all the way around the basketball courts at night to really bounce it up? What if we want to put 3 more basketball courts in, and we really want it to be like top in the whole state of Florida wants to come down and play basketball. So now we're going down 2 feet. We're installing electricity. We might have to put plumbing in. Who knows what? Rules change. Things change. I just think that with all these considerations, we have a lot of T's to cross and I's to dot. I understand the passion. I understand people want it now. You know, I might have felt the same way if I was on the other side. All I'm saying is that I know how government works. I know how this system works. And I know that we need, in my opinion, we need more time to make this thing right. So if we're going to pull the trigger on it, if we're going to make it last, we've got to do it right.
So my concern, real fast, is that why are we denying the project, making the client, the applicant, come back, pay a whole new fee to get hurt again, when we could continue them with certain things that we want to add to it or have them look at and not have to incur that burden on the client, on the applicant?
Well, even with that, but in Tricia or staff, maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, and I believe that I read this and it was discussed, that if it is under 15 inches, that they're still capable to be able to do that, but it would have to come in front of the board, and if they did, it does not have to come in front of the board.
There's nothing in our code that says a certain depth of, like a minimum depth. The 15 inches was proposed by the applicant as part of the designation report.
but so they can still build, do whatever they want below that. But if they were to run into any archaeological findings, that could stop.
The way our code stands today, as far as any review of anything that's designated, is that if there is a change, then it has to come to the board in some capacity. But that would be the purpose of a management plan, where you would have more information as far as how you would direct any future like digging that would occur on the site, and how it would be monitored or tested.
Okay.
Depending on the depth, depending on the type of work and things like that, and what would trigger the need to come before the board.
Okay, and so that's, I didn't speak it correctly, the verbiage of how it is, but I think that's part of your concern.
Well, listen, we voted no on the deferral, okay? I'm not in favor of the deferral. If they want to come back again, they will fill out another application. They will do their homework again. They aren't going to have to do the study all over again. Everything that they've done is excellent. They do have some more work to do. They were requested to do some things that didn't get done. They had some questions to answer. It was specific to the borders and to the.
What did they not do?
They didn't come back with that. They didn't have a new proposal.
But what do you, just be more.
The boundaries. Can you be more specific for me, Trish, and what the staff found? The borders were still unclear. Was that the term?
So the applicant did not modify the boundaries based on the findings of this additional testing. And what we did receive was some additional information from the archaeologists that provided a testing report and a summary that started to narrow down the boundaries of what the primary fort activity area would be. And that's what's kind of showing on your screen in layers as far as what is proposed versus what the archaeologists had stated.
Okay, thank you. So
Tim,
I still stand by all of the votes we made.
I'm following where you're going, and I feel like there's nothing happening anytime soon. And I think we've got more homework to do.
That's why I was curious if I could speak publicly about this, or to my commissioners, to my mayor, to the developer. I have questions. I would be a lot more comfortable getting answers.
I think it would be, Chris, one moment. I think it would be really helpful, like we do with every other applicant, is to give the applicant specific suggestions as to why you voted no and why you don't want to approve it tonight. I think they deserve to have reasons so they can go back and fix that.
So, Chair Marcus, if I may, we're going to need a motion tonight one way or the other. So that could be a motion to approve, motion to deny, motion to continue as been requested. Whatever motion and recommendation you make tonight, except for the continuance, will be what is transmitted to the City Commission to consider as their recommendation from you as a board as they consider this application. So when you say if you vote to deny it tonight as a no recommendation, that doesn't necessarily stop or end the application. That provides that recommendation to the City Commission that this board voted no. It would be helpful and probably preferable to our city attorney if in that recommendation to approve or deny, you provide some basis for that denial. Right. Certainly that basis could, or approval, certainly that basis could be you didn't necessarily agree with the area being presented, or you think there's other issues with the application, and for approval you'd have to cite one of the criteria as being met. So, you know, those are really the options tonight. I don't want the thought to be that a no or denial tonight kind of ends this process. It would still go as a recommendation to our City Commission.
Understood.
So if the commission were to deny it, then it would trigger a potential reapplication.
Yes. Thank you. So I come back to the board. Unless you're going to have a motion, don't. Anyone else like to speak?
I feel like we're already protected. No.
Pardon?
I feel like it's already protected. No.
Are you making a motion?
Is that a motion?
No, I'm just, I want to get right
No, but we're past statements at this point.
I mean, I move to recommend to approve with conditions Continuing the request for archaeological site designation of the 3rd Fort Lauderdale Research Group located at 640 Seabreeze Boulevard to the City Commission under case number UDP HPD 25002, based on finding this request does meet 2 criteria, A and B, as outlined in section 472411C7 of the ULDR.
Okay.
Second.
That's your motion?
Do you want to just state the conditions for the record?
The conditions would be we would need a laid out management plan with the appropriate steps for the management plan, and then we would also need a very defined boundary and historic marker.
So there's a second for this?
Second.
Seconded by Alan. Let's have a voice vote.
Kim, just for clarification for the record, there are 2 conditions outlined in the staff report. Do you want to accept those as the verbiage?
The A and the B, yes.
Which, well, it's one would be as an active beach and park site as recommended that a management plan is developed to utilize in evaluating future ground disturbing activities that are conducted on the site, and 2, consider placement of a state historic marker to denote the location of the 3rd Fort Lauderdale, as there are markers for both the 1st and 2nd forts already installed. Right. And then the 3rd would be for a modified boundary.
Okay, so the modified boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And then the management plan, which would be part of 2.
Right.
Yeah, it's just for our record purposes.
Okay. I think you should
that,
also include the historical marker.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
important.
So all 3 of them then?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you okay with that language? Okay. Thank you.
Alan, since you seconded it, are you okay with the 3?
Yes.
Okay. Then we call the question.
Do we have a chance for discussion?
We can have a discussion.
Okay. So I believe, again, I can read the table. And while I appreciate the motion and I'm supportive of it, if there's any other color anyone wants to give so that we can meet what the gentleman was suggesting, we can
what do you
send
mean
back
by color?
If there's a rationale for no, we deliver. If it's boundaries,
listen.
If it's pickleball,
you've heard all the the talk tonight. At this point, it's time to vote. We have a motion. It's been seconded. I've called the question.
Mr. Golden?
No.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Keith?
No.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Did you say no?
No, I said yes. Yes.
Mr.
Yes,
Chavon?
you said yes.
Yes, I said yes.
No.
Mr. Taylor?
No.
And Chair Marcus?
Yes.
Failed 3-4.
So it still fails 3-4. So I asked the board, what are we telling the client if they come back? We have to give them some direction.
Do we need to do that?
Yeah, the rules require you to forward a recommendation to the city commission for consideration. So you do have to you do have to vote one way or the other for a recommendation to the city commission.
Okay. Is this open for discussion now?
Yes.
Okay. Then my suggestion to the commission would be that the area definitely needs to be looked at and further investigation, or not investigate.
Defined.
I would ask them to take another look at it and give consideration to it again with new information in regards to the boundaries, specific boundaries, and also to management plans as it speaks to further development. They fall under the umbrella of the public use of that land. So that, I guess what I would be looking for from our commission in the future, if we were to have them change anything, would be that nothing could be developed there, to be a lot more specific to protect that area. Like, it sounded to me like from Assistant City Manager Cooper that there is a possibility that we could do a lease agreement or something like that with BHMR or anybody, forget BHMR for the moment, that somebody could rent the beach, buy it, lease it, whatever.
We don't even know.
Do we have something like that existing on our books?
So for our parks, which includes the beach, there are provisions in our charter that outline the process by which the commission may lease or license properties within those facilities. And so any use of the beach in this area or the rest of the beach or any park in the city would be required to follow that process.
But it would have to be restricted to use as a park, as a park
It would be
use.
restricted for a public use with a park-like use, yes.
So it could not be leased and then a condominium could go up.
Correct.
Okay.
So one last question on any development agreement. I know I come back to that because I don't know anything about it. If they're permitted to build a pickleball court somewhere, does it need to be directly next to the basketball court, or can it be elsewhere outside a future boundary?
So a facility like a pickleball or basketball court would be permitted in a park or on the beach. Considerations for where that site is located could be whether there's an access issue. It could be whether or not there's environmentally sensitive areas like dunes or sea grapes or turtle nests. It could be whether or not we can get permission from the state to go east of the coastal construction line to build that. And of course, in this area, archaeology will be a consideration whether it's designated
Right.
or not. We'll still have to do those phase 1 and potentially phase 2. The end result's very similar to if it's designated, where if something's found, we'd have to catalog, call in an archaeologist to document.
So at this point, we don't know.
We don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Well, if I was going to recommend, now that he brought it up, if I was going to suggest a recommendation to our commission, part of it would be that although the basketball courts should not come under the control of the HPB, or we don't have, it's not in our arena, we would strongly encourage them to leave them there or leave them alone and not have them moved.
All
That's
right.
it for today.
We do need a recommendation to the city commission. So there has to be
Well,
a motion.
If I can speak up, I can't make the motion.
I
but
understand.
I think that it should be communicated that the motion to continue failed. The motion to continue with certain concerns also failed.
The
I'd like
record,
to see
the
if those
record of the
concern-
minutes will be passed along to the city commission.
minutes? Okay.
The minutes.
So I'd like
It's
to
required by
see
the code.
Our concerns passed along, that what we'd like to see looked at further.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's in our minutes, of course it will be.
Yes, but you still need, as a board, to make a motion one way or another to make a recommendation on this application.
Well, we voted not to approve it.
Well, all three motions failed.
Right.
You have to have a motion that passes.
All right, so I still need a motion from someone that will pass. I don't know what that is.
Robert, we have to make a recommendation to the city commission one way or the other. We
Right.
have yet to make a recommendation.
I
We
guess-
can only do that if we vote.
Well, and part of the board, and where I'm getting confused, as the approved with conditions and what we recommended got denied, but the recommendations that we want to make to the commission are what I had in the approved with conditions.
So, Chair, if I may, if it seems like we boiled down to potentially a motion to deny. So if you were to make a motion to deny tonight and you were to state your reasons for why you wanted that denial, or you're recommending that denial, I think it'd be reasonable that if it was a motion to deny based on the fact that you have concerns with the size of the area to be designated, the absence of a management plan, whatever else you think is
So
lacking.
whoever's making the motion.
I would
should
include
give the
that so that
reasons
it's clearly
also.
communicated to the commission as you as a recommending body as to why you're making that recommendation.
Thank you. With that, would someone like to make a motion with elucidating the
I'll make a motion,
recommendations?
please, to ask the city commission to explore a management plan for the portion of the beach that was applied for designation, come up with a management plan.
Tim, I think that that's more appropriate for a communication to the city commission rather
Okay,
than
so
this particular application.
Yeah, it's either approve it, deny it, continue it. That has to be the motion.
Or approve with conditions.
Or approve, yeah.
Okay, we are denying
You
the
can-
application based on it not of meeting Section C and not having provided what we consider to be complete, clear boundary set for the area to be designated. Is that appropriate?
Yes.
And it's a recommendation. Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah, and it's a recommendation. So yeah, you got it right. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Thank
that's
you.
a recommendation. Don't we have to vote on it?
That's the motion.
Yeah, it's a motion for recommendation.
Okay.
So please repeat the motion so we can have a second on it.
Okay. Making a motion that we have denied the application based on it not meeting Section C of the application and also being falling short of being clear on the boundaries map for the area to be designated for archaeological preservation. And thank you. And
the lack of a management.
and the lack of a specific management plan. Thank you.
Tim, if you want to revise your motion to remove the part about not meeting subsection C, then I would second it.
Not meeting some
Yeah,
section
can you
C?
strike that part of your motion?
Sure.
Okay. In that case, if you
That's my motion. I'll strike section C. Is that okay?
Oh,
then I'll second that.
Yes.
Take a vote.
Oh,
Let's see
okay,
what-
so
are
we
they
have to call the
discussing
vote.
Can we get that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yes, it wasn't clear.
All right. As long
Yeah.
as we're starting over.
Yeah.
Do we want to have the secretary read it back to us as she's written it?
Good idea.
Is that
So
your motion?
what was your concern about section C?
Because I don't think that's relevant to the concerns
Okay.
that I had.
Okay.
So I have a quick question before you get a second for this. If these are the two concerns, why could this not have been approved with two concerns rather than denied?
I mean, Arthur, we've gone.
I know that,
Arthur,
but
because it's going to take
it's
more
relevant.
time than what we
Because
have tonight to get to the answer.
Well, we're not going to get it there tonight.
No
Either
question
way.
about it.
I'm not going to recommend that in the abstract.
Okay. Well, I can't
So
recommend, so
I second the
you
motion.
second Tim's motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we have
So
a
we'll
vote?
wait for a vote. So just please read the motion one more time.
To deny the application because the boundaries are unclear and because of the lack of a specific management. Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Golden?
I vote for.
Mr. Jones?
No.
Mr. Keith?
I'm sorry, I'm going to need to have you repeat that again.
To deny the application because the boundaries are unclear and because of the lack of a specific management plan.
Correct, I deny.
Pardon?
Yeah, right, so I'm saying yes.
Yes? Okay. Ms. Roberts?
No.
Mr. Chavon?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Chair Marcus?
No.
Passed 4-3.
Okay. So the motion passed, so that it is denied.
It's recommended for denial.
Recommended to the city. Well. Thank you, everyone. Is there a motion to dismiss?
No, we still have.
Oh, we still have, what, the communication?
Yeah, are we going to go through the rest of the agenda?
What else? I'm sorry.
I mean, we have communications to the city commission, other communications.
I don't think, are there any other communications to the city commission?
The communications to the city are what the board would create on behalf of the board to send to the city commission. We do not have any other items on this agenda.
Yeah, but I'll have a suggestion for communication to
Okay.
the city commission, that they look into the enforcement of any city ordinances with respect to the use of metal detectors at the beach park.
Hold on. We are still in the public
We have
hearing.
everybody
Everyone
walk
would need to leave the
outside.
building to have any conversations.
Excuse us, we can't hear with you guys talking. Sorry.
If you are continuing to talk, you need to leave the building. We're still in our public hearing.
Tricia,
Yes.
please repeat what you were saying.
Shane was actually.
Shane was.
Yeah, I was just
discussing.
saying that I'd like to make a communication to the city commission to look into the enforcement of any city ordinance governing the use of metal detectors at the beach park. Because apparently we do have an ordinance and it's not really being enforced.
Okay.
So that would be my suggestion to make to Ed. I don't know if we have to.
Sure, Marcus.
It was hard to hear you because you weren't speaking into the microphone.
My suggestion to the board was that we make a communication to the city commission to look into the enforcement of city ordinances governing the use of metal detectors at the beach park.
Let's listen to the
Yeah,
assistant city
Chair Marcus,
attorney.
I think that's a great communication, so thank you for that. I will tell you, I contacted Parks while I was sitting here as you were deliberating. We do have signs going up as we speak, probably in the next several weeks, that are more clearly articulate the park rules for the beach, including digging on the beach. So we'll still share that communication with the commission, but I just wanted to give you guys an
Maybe you
update.
could put
Sean,
cameras on the signs.
For us to make the communication as
Sure.
an official part of the meeting, do we need a motion for that?
I mean,
Yes, you need a
historically, yeah.
motion.
Okay, so
You
so
make a
moved.
motion. It has to be
Okay.
second.
Can I just add to that, that there has to be some type of enforcement,
Well, that's-
24/7 observation and enforcement, observation. As well
so
as
if you want to make
enforcement.
that motion, that's great. You're welcome to do that, but my motion was just for the city commission to look
So
in.
you don't want to accept his
So-
addendum?
For observation,
No, I don't.
Okay,
all right.
okay.
Because, and I'll tell you why, Robert, I just don't think it's realistic for 24/7. Apparently, there's already an ordinance on the books, and so I just want the city commission to look into enforcement of that existing ordinance. So that's my motion, if there's a second.
Is there a second to that?
Yes,
I
second.
it. I can't
Second.
second it. You can second it.
Second.
Seconded. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. So that's our communication to the city commission. Thank you, Shane, for medical detectors.
I move to adjourn.
One announcement.
I'll second it.
Wait, hold on.
One announcement from Assistant City Attorney here. We actually have a new attorney that is going to be handling the board in the future, Gabrielle Bush. I just wanted to introduce you to her. I got reassigned, so yeah, you'll be in great hands. Gabrielle's
Okay.
very, very smart
wow.
attorney. She's worked for the city's risk department actually in the past, and she has a really great legal background and really, really smart attorney. So I'm looking forward to her serving you.
And just so you know, all our meetings are not like this one.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Are we going to vote on the motion?
Oh, we have to vote. I'm sorry. Vote to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned.